everybody. Welcome back to a new season of Michigan football on WCBN Sports, the official student voice of Michigan athletics. The Fresno State Bulldogs come to town to face off the reigning national champions. Prove for the Wolverines this year. A new season, new opportunities. Coin toss going on the field right now. I'm Alex Miller. Alongside me, Vihan Eastwar, Kendall Spencer, and Gavin Briggs have the second half for WCBN. Coin toss, Rod Moore, Donovan Edwards, McCarthy Page, Max Bredesen, the four captains for your Wolverines. Jose Vivao, Mikey Keene, Devo Bridges, and Tuasivi Namora, the captains for Fresno State Bulldogs. And Vihan, this is an exciting game, obviously coming off a national championship. Expectations high for these Wolverines, but a lot to prove. Sherrone Moore, new lead man, new quarterback. It's going to be Davis Warren with the ones, at least to open this game. I mean, what are you looking for tonight?
Well, I think the main storyline on my mind, Alex, is the offensive line. This unit is the bread and butter of Michigan. It was the engine behind that national championship winning team, that team that has just achieved so much and put this program back on the map in the past 2 to 3 years. And here we're getting a bunch of new starters. You know, a lot of those linemen, were drafted in the NFL. Some of them may very likely become NFL stars. Others have graduated onto bigger things, maybe bigger things. So I think I'm really curious to see, how does this unit come together? I think another thing I'm going to look at is the play calling. I think we're expecting this to be a run-first team. Moore is a run-first play caller, and this has been Michigan's identity that it's worked so well for it in the past few years. And I think I'm going to expect a little bit of caution from this offense, because when you have so many new personnel, when it's the first game of the season against an opponent who are a quite good football team, but that you're still favored to beat, I think we'll see some restraint in the play calling. So maybe don't get upset if you don't see Warren just kind of slinging it out like he's 2011 Aaron Rodgers out there.
Michigan won the toss and deferred. So Fresno State will receive the ball. Tommy Doman, the man to kick it off for the Wolverines. This is a Fresno State offense that was very productive last year. Returns a veteran quarterback in Mikey Keene, an electric running back in Malik Sherrod, some good pass catchers as well. They've got their hands full with a Michigan defense as good as anyone in the country up front. Big guys, Mason Graham, Kenny Grant. On the edge, Josiah Stewart, Derek Moore, TJ Guy. This is a deep front line. Some guys to prove in the depth spots, but a lot of top-end talent. Moments away here from the first kick. Doman from the left hash, the 35. Here's the kick from Doman. And the Bulldogs will let it sail into the end zone. A touchback. Fresno State ready to get going on offense.
And I personally, Alex, am very excited to watch this Fresno State team take the field, because this is a really good offense. Mikey Keene was arguably the best quarterback in the Mountain West last season. He's looking to be one of the best for this season. They've got a great group of receivers. You know, they added Shaden James, who had more catches than anybody else in the FCS last season. They've got players like Magdalena, who's a speedster. They've got Josiah Freeman, who was on the roster last year. They've got Malik Sherrod, who's a very dynamic pass-catching running back. There are a lot of very good football players on this roster, and I don't think Michigan fans should underestimate the threat level that this offense poses as an opener. This isn't some of the opponents that Michigan have played in their openers in the past few years.
Keene takes snap in the pistol, hands it off to Elijah Gilliam right up the middle. He's bottled up, picks up about a yard. Gilliam, the other running back, senior from California native.
Yeah, and Michigan's pairing of tackles, Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, arguably the best unit on the field, arguably the best unit in the entire country. Expect to see a lot of that. Expect to see them really stop the run, especially since the Bulldogs have some deficiencies at offensive line. That's an area I expect the Wolverines to exploit today.
Keene takes snap and pistol, throws a screen to the left side. Big hit laid there on Jalen Moss. I believe McCarthy Page out of the safety spot.
McCarthy Page, one of the big returners from the secondary, which is a little, not to say depleted, but there's been some personnel change. Keon Sapp hit the portal. Rod Moore picked up an injury. But you still got McCarthy Page, you still got Jair Hill, and of course, you got Will Johnson.
Keene in the gun, Gilliam to his left, 3 receivers to his right, 1 to his left, takes the snap, looking to the right side, throws it over the middle, and it's off the hands and picked off on a tip. Wolverines go the other way. Oh, what a start. It's in the hands of Zeke Berry. Starting at nickel corner, he takes one away. It's going the other way for the Wolverines.
Yeah, and while I just praise the merits of this Pat McCann Fresno State Bulldogs offense, I think this is one of their deficiencies. They're very much a pass-first group. They passed more than anybody else in the Mountain West Conference last season. But with the Wolverines, you've got a pass rush capable of blitzing the quarterback, and you've got an incredibly gifted secondary. So I think this is one area where the Wolverines match up very well with the Bulldogs.
Zeke Berry, a player that this coaching staff has talked up a lot. Right place, right time, that time. Michigan on offense now. Davis Warren in the pistol. Donovan Edwards, the back behind him, trips to the right side. Sole receiver to the left. Right hash is the ball at the 31-yard line. 13:53 left here in the first quarter. Warren claps his hands it off to Edwards. He goes right, tucked into the outside, and he's dragged down at around the 29-yard line. Cam Lockridge on the tackle there for Fresno State. 13:36 and ticking here. It'll be 2nd and 8.
Yeah, and in my notes, I mentioned that I thought the Wolverines were going to sort of target, do a lot more pitches, a lot more end arounds, maybe not necessarily run through the middle as much. And I still expect them to target the middle, especially with the strength of Edwards and Mullings. But I also expect to see a lot of pitches. I expect to see them find more creative ways to break the Bulldogs' defensive line.
Warren takes the snap in the gun, and down to Colston Loveland, the first down, and he rumbles through a couple tacklers, pushed out of bounds at the 16-yard line. Davis Warren to Colston Loveland, 1 for 1 for Davis Warren.
Right, and I think Warren or Orgy or whoever we end up seeing starting for the majority of the season is really going to rely on Loveland. He's the safest pair of hands on this roster. He's a big, fast tight end, very safe pair of hands there. And as we've seen at both the collegiate and the professional level, young quarterbacks tend to rely on their tight ends as safety blankets a lot. So I expect to see more of the same, both in this game and for the rest of the season, especially when you have a tight end as good as Loveland.
Warren in the shotgun, Donovan Edwards to his left, 2 receivers to his left, 2 to his right. Max Bredesen in there in the slot on the left side. Samaj Morgan in motion right to left. He gets a handoff on the end around. Samaj Morgan, Agent 0 this year. He's get to the edge, and he's knocked out just short of the first down. 7-yard pickup there for Samaj Morgan.
Morgan, obviously somebody who played a pretty important role.
Give him 9, 2nd and 1.
Morgan, obviously somebody who played a pretty important role in that national championship winning team last season. One of the returning familiar faces on that offense. Quick receiver, definitely capable of doing well in short yardage situations. Expect the Wolverines to rely on him quite heavily this season.
2nd and 1 here from the 7-yard line. Warren back in the gun. 3 receivers to his right, tight end to his left, running back Donovan Edwards to his left. In motion, Max Bredesen right to left. And whistles blow. See what the call is here. 12:02 left here in the first quarter. Michigan moving the ball out down the field after a Zeke Berry interception. So they're going to take a look here at what I'm not sure. I believe they're looking for targeting on the previous play. Samaj Morgan was knocked out off the end around, picked up 9 yards. Jakari Embry, the man who laid the hit.
Only a few plays so far, but I think so far we're seeing some positive signs from this offensive line and from Warren in general, sort of managing the game quickly, getting that ball off, being able to read the play. I think it's all something that you would like to see at this early stage when there's more room for you to sort of take risks and go ahead and put some points on the board.
My apologies. That was the 11 of Jaden Davis who laid that hit, not the 17 of Jakari Embry. So they'll take a look at this. And seeing a replay, there's an argument that this could be targeting. Davis seemed to lead with his helmet to Samaj Morgan, who was on his way down toward the sideline, approaching the 7-yard line. Here's Jaden Davis. He called for targeting, and if that is the case, his day is done. And yes, it's targeting. Automatic first down for the Wolverines.
Couldn't ask for a better couple minutes to open up the half, could you?
Interception, moving the ball, targeting helps you out here. So now, 1st and goal for the Wolverines from the 3-yard line. I formation, Max Bredesen the up back, Donovan Edwards the deep back here. Davis Warren under center. He takes the snap, handoff to his right. Donovan Edwards is bottled up. Didn't get much, if he even got back to the line of scrimmage. They'll say no gain on the play. 2nd and 3 here. Just checking on the Michigan O-line. Dominic Jadis gets the start at center. That was a job that many thought might go to Greg Crippen or Raheem Anderson. It's Dom Jadis, and at right tackle, Evan Link, the redshirt freshman, makes the start. So some new faces on this offensive line. Josh Preeb at left guard, Miles Hinton at left tackle, Giovanni El-Hadi at right guard. Warren, or excuse me, I believe that's Alex Orji in the gun. Yes, it is. Max Bredesen in motion. Orji fakes a handoff to Edwards. RPO, toss to Donovan Edwards. He can walk on in. Orji to Edwards. Touchdown, Michigan, 6-0 Wolverines. 11:03 left here in the first quarter.
Right, and I think if you want to do something a little bit more play calling, creative with your play calling, I think Orji's definitely your guy. I think he's big. He's definitely got some strength in his arm. Accuracy remains to be seen, but I'm sure we'll see that unfold over the course of the season. But RPOs, other sort of more tricky plays, I think Orji's definitely your man if you want to run that type of play. And I think in the end zone, especially so deep, if it's a short yardage to a touchdown situation, I think that's the best time to sort of try and make use of Orji's athleticism. And it worked out very well there.
Defense has to worry about Orji on the move. The play action to Edwards, then Edwards in the flat. There's the extra point. Up and through for the new kicker, Dominic Zavada, the Arkansas State transfer. But Orji faked a handoff to Edwards. Edwards was moving to his right. Orji rolled to his right. Nobody picked up Edwards in the flat. He walked in. 7-0 Wolverines. 11:03. About as good of a start for Michigan as you could hope for. Defense will go back to work now.
Yeah, and I don't think Orji throwing for that touchdown necessarily changes anything about who's getting the start on the next snap. It'll be Warren, and I think Orji will be brought out in red zone situations because he certainly has the potential to be a very good red zone threat. Like I said, big, fast, strong arm. Definitely very exciting. Raw for sure, but we'll have to see him get an extended volume of snaps. Will that happen in this game? Maybe, maybe not. Unlikely, but we'll have to see how it plays out over the course of the season. While Warren also had a very good spring game, benefited the best from that game, and has been very promising in practice. So it's a good problem to have when you have two pretty good starters who happen to fill different niches.
And this is still a team that Sherrone Moore, his identity, run the ball. Trusts his guys. That's the offensive line unit. That's his running backs. So far, Michigan not having to do a whole lot. Able to move the ball with ease in these early downs. Timeout here on the field.
One observation I wanted to make about the offensive line, Alex, is the fact that I think there's a little bit more sense of certainty on that left-hand side of the line because you've got Miles Hinton, who's been on the roster for a while, has played a significant number of snaps. You just picked up Josh Preeb out of the portal, somebody who started a lot of games for Northwestern, another Big Ten school that has produced some good NFL offensive linemen in recent years.
He was all Big Ten third team there last year, Preeb.
Yeah. Yeah, like, for example, like Rashawn Slater, Peter Skronsky, you've had some NFL-level offensive linemen come out of Northwestern, so you know you're getting some quality out of Josh Preeb. It's on that right-hand side of the line where you've got a little bit more uncertainty. For example, the center battle, Greg Crippen was another guy who had been on the roster for a few years, but at the moment does not seem to have the start. You also had Andrew Gentry, who's vying for that right tackle spot, even though he didn't get the start for today. So I think the left side, barring significant drops in play or significant injury issues, we sort of know what's more or less going to happen there. I'm interested in seeing who do we end up rolling with as a right tackle, who does Michigan end up rolling with as the center going forward.
And it speaks to the atmosphere Sherrone Moore has created as head coach year one. Best man's going to win the job. It's not necessarily the veteran. It's not necessarily the guy you'd expect to. It's the guy who performed the best. Dominic Jadis, the former defensive lineman, now an offensive lineman, gets a start at center. Evan Link, young kid, redshirt freshman out of Burke, Virginia, has the right tackle job for the moment. Tommy Doman back on the field to kick this one away. Seven to nothing Wolverines. 11:03 left here in the first quarter. Kick away from Doman. into the end zone. It'll be allowed to go over their heads by Fresno State Bulldog return man. I believe that's Malik Sherrod and Magdalena. So they'll take it again at the 25-yard line. Mikey Keene, the interception, not necessarily his fault. Throw that hit the hands, I believe, of Jaden James before bouncing into the arms of Zeke Berry.
I already extolled the virtues of this Fresno State offense, and they averaged 30.5 points per game last season in the Mountain West. Obviously, Michigan's defense is a different caliber of opposition, but at the same time, as I said, plenty of playmakers here. Good opening challenge for the Wolverines to dip their toe in the water.
Keene from the pistol hands it off. Running to his left was Malik Sherrod. They'll give him 2 yards, make it 2nd and 8 here from the 27.
And last season, the Bulldogs went 9-4, finished 5th in the Mountain West, won the New Mexico Bowl against New Mexico State, coached by then interim coach Tim Skipper, who was filling in for Jeff Tedford.
Throw out of the gun there to the right side, hauled in, down to the 31-yard line. Pass caught there by Magdalena, so that'll make it 3rd and 4 here. In the gun again is Keene, 2 receivers to either side, back to his left. Keene claps his hands, no snap comes. Michigan 5 up front, showing maybe 6 here on the line. See how many the Wolverines bring. 3rd and 4, 10:06 to play. Keene takes the snap, out route to the right side, and it's caught. In a catch and run opportunity there for Jalen Moss. The redshirt sophomore, #1 receiver in this offense, makes a good catch, was contested by Will Johnson, able to haul the pass in.
Yeah, and so far I think we've seen a lot of short yardage throws from Keene, which...
Play action now from Keene. He's in the gun, has time, uncorks a deep throw. It's over everybody. McCarthy Page had a chance to run under it, couldn't find the ball in time. It'll drop harmlessly to the turf. Keene was looking again for Jalen Moss, but offered a little bit of airmail there. Lucky that McCarthy Page couldn't turn his head in time.
Yeah, and Keene, not the biggest arm, but certainly capable of making some throws. That was definitely one of them, showed that he can definitely get a sort of long-distance throw out of him once in a while, although he is more so capable of throwing into windows than he is necessarily going to sling it up the field.
2nd and 10. Ball on the 50-yard line. Handoff out of the gun into a tackle there. Will Johnson gets into the backfield, lays the first hit there on Malik Sherrod.
What can you say about Will Johnson that you haven't said already? Most talented, I would argue, one of, if not the most talented player on this team, one of the most talented players in the entire country. And when he does declare for the draft, top 10, top 5 pick. Brilliant, brilliant player.
Keene back in the shotgun, H back to his left, running back to his right, 2 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. He takes the snap. Pressure comes off the edge. Keene escapes, and he's going to go down. The man to get him, Josiah Stewart. First pressure came from Derek Moore, but it's Stewart who finishes the job.
Stewart and Moore combined for 10 sacks last season, about 5 apiece. Expect them to create tons of pressure. This Michigan defensive line didn't necessarily rack up the sack totals, but so good at getting pressure. Just consistently throughout last season, just always good at hurrying up a quarterback. And especially here, they're taking advantage of the fact that the Bulldogs' best offensive tackle, left tackle Jacob Spomer, is injured and isn't playing tonight.
On 4th and 17, the Bulldogs will punt it away. Here comes the kick. It's Samaj Morgan back to receive it. Low kick. Morgan plays it at around the 17-yard line. He's knocked down. A big hit at the 25. A sandwich between a couple of Fresno State Bulldogs. Michigan will take over there at the 25. It's a really impressive stand there by the Michigan Wolverine defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I think so far a bit of a cautious approach from Fresno State, a lot of shorter throws. Haven't necessarily run the ball as much as I would have expected from running back like Sherrod, who was, I believe, a member of the All-Mountain West team. I think, and Pat McCann, offensive coordinator, is, like I said, very much a pass-first offensive coordinator. This is a team that does like to throw the ball around a lot, and they will throw it in shorter distances, but I'd expect a little bit more of the run game. But of course, Fresno State is acutely aware of just the sheer menace, the absolute steel curtain that they're facing with this Michigan defensive line, one of the best units in the country.
On the Fresno State side, they released a 2-deep depth chart a few days back. One of the spots they didn't announce was punter. It was Clay Lawrence who booted that one away. So if you're keeping an eye on the Bulldog punter battle, it's Lawrence who has the job for the moment. Wolverine offense getting ready to go here, leading by 7 to nothing. 8:19 to play here in the first quarter. Couple impressive stands by the Wolverine defense. One impressive drive where they only had to go a short way after the Zeke Berry interception. Now they'll have to go a full 75. We'll see what Sherrone Moore and Kirk Campbell dial up on the offensive side.
Yeah, absolutely. This drive is obviously going to look much different from the last drive. You got so much more ground to cover. I'm curious do they let Warren sling a little bit? Obviously, he'll be given the chance to throw. Will he be given the chance to throw at range? Potentially, but I think you're mostly going to rely on using Donovan Edwards and Claude Mullings to sort of get as many first downs as you can, not necessarily manage the clock, but just kind of work your way up the field in the safest manner possible. Yeah, I think going to be a relatively simple game plan, like I said in the preseason. Lots of short passes, a lot of run plays, but there is the potential for excitement, like we just saw on the RPO that led to the touchdown from Alex Orji.
Michigan offense obviously lost a lot. J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, bunch of pieces on the offensive line. Still got a lot of weapons. Donovan Edwards, huge bounce back candidate. Colston Loveland, one of the best tight ends in the country. Samaj Morgan, up and coming young player. Tyler Morris, a good veteran. There are enough pieces in this Michigan offense to be dangerous once again.
And then there's some players who weren't even named as active tonight who I'm curious to see. Like you've got Cole Cabana, who is a promising dual threat running back. You've got Peyton O'Leary, who's a big-bodied wide receiver, a build that we haven't really seen much of in this office. I'm not saying that these players will necessarily get a lot of playtime this season, but I'm curious to see what they do with the snaps that they do end up receiving.
Warren in the gun, running back to his right, 2 receivers to his left, 1 to his right, ball at the 27-yard line. Play action. No, handoff up the middle and moving a pile forward is Kalel Mullings, the big back. Picks up 9 on first down.
And this one is just straight down the middle. Great running backing by the tackles who, so far, this offensive line has held up. So far, Warren hasn't been threatened at all.
Warren in the gun again. Kalel Mullings to his right, tight end, and 2 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Takes the snap. Handoff again to Mullings to the left side. He's knocked down, but he drives it forward for the first down and a couple more yards. Gabriel Lightfoot, the man to get a hand to him.
Yeah, and even though Corum is a difficult piece to replace, one of the greatest players in the history of the University of Michigan, you've got Edwards, of course, who proven bounce-back candidate. You've got Claude Mullings, who opinion in the building has been very high in the past few years. You've got Cabana, you've got Ben Hall. You've got plenty of runners.
1st and 10, screen pass to Samaj Morgan, tries to cut it back toward the middle of the field. He's bottled up right around the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Trying to get the ball in the playmaker's hands. Max Bredesen and Marlon Klein come on here for Loveland and Morgan. Perhaps a bit of a more bigger package here for the Wolverines on 2nd and 10.
Right. And you've seen a couple of end rounds drawn up with Morgan. I'm not sure if he's necessarily gone long and run around and caught a pass yet, but they seem to be definitely kind of figuring out what they could get out of him.
Warren under center, pitches it to Kalel Mullings to the left side. Mullings is bottled up again at the line of scrimmage. Couple Bulldogs get there. That'll bring up a 3rd and 10. The 2 Bulldogs, Kosei Agina to Asibe Namura to get there on the tackle.
Fairly conservative drive through the first few plays, like I sort of expected. You've got the touchdown, which isn't necessarily a cushion, but you put your points on the board. You just kind of try and just work up the field, take as much time as you need.
3rd and 10, 6 minutes to play here at the 40-yard line. Davis Warren in the shotgun. Kalel Mullings to his right, 2 receivers to his right, 2 to his left. Wolverines need all 10 yards here. Warren takes the snap, screen pass to the right side. Dancing And only picking up about 4 is Tyler Morris. Wolverines try to go tricky on 3rd and long. They can't pick it up. And Tommy Doman will come out to punt it away.
Yeah, it looks like Warren slightly underthrew that pass. Still got a couple of yards, not enough for the first down. My apologies, but Michigan did do some work in working their way up the field. Got a nice little gain there. Currently outgaining the Bulldogs, 43-22. 24 rushing yards versus -4 rushing yards for Fresno State.
Punt booted away and fair caught at the 20-yard line by Jalen Moss. .5:07 to play here in the first quarter. 7-0 Michigan. The Fresno State Bulldogs get a stop and have the ball back at the 20-yard line. 80 yards to go for Mikey Keene and company.
Right, and Michigan defense has certainly turned up so far. McCarthy Page picking off Mikey Keene earlier on that very first drive of the game. Almost did it again one drive later. And so far this defense has really just kind of shut down the Bulldogs from every angle. You've seen pass rush creating pressure, secondary holding on to their man, tackles just remaining immovable. We're still very early into the game, but I think you've seen this is more or less what you expect from this Michigan defense, which has had some turnover, but has still kept a lot of key contributors, and on the whole does not look drastically different.
There's a lot of players to be excited about on this Michigan defense. The obvious ones: Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Will Johnson, Derek Moore, and Josiah Stewart on the edge. But the linebacker group, Jay-Sean Barham, a really exciting player. Ernest Hausman steps into a bigger role. Zeke Berry at nickel corner already had the pick. Big day for that young player. Safety room deep: McCarthy Page, Quentin Johnson. We'll see how much we see of Wesley Walker and Jaden Mangum, the transfers. Cornerback room deep. There are a lot of talented players on this Wolverine defense.
Right, and especially about Barham, the rumblings about him from training camp have been very, very strong. You know, praising his athleticism, his strength. Apparently a lot of the receivers are having a hard time with him, which just goes to show, like, he's a linebacker and he has the speed to keep pace with receivers. And just all around a great athlete, paired against Ernest Hausman, who didn't necessarily play the biggest role last season, but has that experience and is now ready to kind of step in as a starter. The Nebraska transfer from a year ago.
Barham was drawing some Devin Bush comparisons in his athleticism at linebacker in training camp this year. And it's about as good of a name as you can be compared to in recent history in the Michigan linebacker corps. So 7-0 Wolverines here. 5:07 left to play in the first quarter. I'm Alex Miller. Alongside me, Vihan Iswar. Thank you for tuning in to WCBN Sports, the official student radio of Michigan Athletics. It's been a fun one so far. An absolute pleasure to be back in the big house.
Yeah. Sold out, looking to a packed student section. As we expected, it's the first game of the year. It's a night game. Hopefully the attendance will stay strong throughout the game. I would expect it to be so because the weather will become slightly more tenable as the night goes, although it is a rather nice 74 degrees as it is.
It's a gorgeous evening to be outside to watch some football. But this is not a Fresno State team that's going to go quietly. We've talked about it, but Mikey Keene is a plus quarterback. He's got some weapons. Malik Sherrod, Elijah Gilliam in the backfield. Jalen Moss had a couple nice plays at wide receiver. So Fresno State will come back out on offense here. 5:07 to play in the first quarter. 7-0 Wolverines. Ball on the 20-yard line of the Fresno State Bulldogs.
And Jalen Moss last season, 55 receptions, 700 yards, 6 touchdowns. Very respectable split there. As the lights have been turned on in the big house as we edge closer and closer to sunset. It's always a pleasure to be here, and we'll keep you covered.
No doubt about it. 5:07 in the first quarter, 7-0. Keene in the gun, back to his left is Elijah Gilliam. Now he drops behind him into pistol. Keene takes the snap play action, screen pass to the right side, and on the move, first hit laid by Ernest Hausman. Down to the 27-yard line on the screen play there.
Right, and the Bulldogs consciously not targeting the Wolverines middle, as most teams tend to refrain from doing so last season. You've got when you've got that pairing of Grant and Graham, it would be wise to find a way around it.
That screen was to Raylan Sharp, the Missouri State transfer. Keene takes the snap in the gun, looking. Pressure comes, throw to the right side. Nearly picked off by Will Johnson. Instead, it falls to the ground. 4:29 left here in the first quarter. It'll be 3rd and 3. Big down coming up here for the Fresno State Bulldogs at their own 27-yard line. Keene in the gun, back to his left. 2 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Tight end on either side. Claps his hands, no ball comes. Now come up, talk to his offensive line. Tight end in motion, left to right. Keene back in the gun, back to his right. Claps gets the snap. Keene looks to his right, throws to his back. Big hit laid. And that did not get anywhere near the first down. Jair Hill on his birthday lays the wood.
And so far, this Wolverines defense has not been afraid to hit hard. You've seen just a lot of these crushing stops here. Just took one man, and I think the Wolverines really showing confidence, really coming out, showing that, yeah, this group was a little different. Doesn't mean that they're worse.
So Clay Lawrence will have to boot it away. Ball at the 23-yard line. He's back, awaiting at the 8. Here comes the snap. Punt booted away by the right-footed punter. And now here comes the other way. It's Tyler Morris this time. Up a seam, breaks a tackle, escapes out to the right side. Morris has some room. Jukes to his right. He's out to the sideline at the Fresno State 43. Boy, what a return. Tyler Morris that time.
Setting up Michigan very well there. Set up right around, I believe, the 40-yard line. Looks to be. Yeah, I believe so. And let's see if Morris can get in on the action with some pass catches. He's not been targeted very heavily throughout this first quarter. Another speedy receiver, somebody who played a somewhat significant role as part of the pass catcher group last season, really elevating in importance now.
Patient return there from Tyler Morris. Morris just waited, bounced away from some tacklers, waited for his blocks to come together. 22-yard return to the Fresno State 43-yard line.
Yeah, and through this first quarter, I think it's kind of reflected my expectation of this Michigan offense. As I said, a lot of short yardage plays that have been quite effective so far in generating the 1 touchdown. I think the defense has sort of had a more highlight reel role with some of those really hard hits. One player I want to highlight on defense is McCarthy, who I think has moved very well throughout this first quarter. Definitely making a lot of the right movements, stretching the field, chase down opponents. Obviously, you got the 1 pick, was maybe a few yards short of getting another, and just even on Will Johnson's breakup, was right there willing to provide some cover. Very impressive from the safety so far.
3:40 to play in the first quarter. 7-0 Wolverines. They're only 43 yards out from striking once again on the Fresno State Bulldogs.
Wolverines with a 100% completion percentage so far off of 4 passes. 3 passes from Warren, 3 completions for 16 yards. 1 pass from Orjib, 1 completion for 3 yards, and a touchdown, which was the 1 score of the game so far and the score that's put the Wolverines up. Kalal Bulling's running well so far. 3 attempts, 13 yards, averaging about 4.3 yards per carry. Loveland leading in receptions with 13 yards off 1 reception. It's 4 receivers splitting that 1 reception. Loveland, Donovan Edwards, Tyler Morris, and Samaj Morgan. And on the other end, you've got Mikey Keene with 5 completions for 5 off of 8 attempts for 30 yards and 1 interception. So, a bit early to make some decisive remarks off of contributions of players, but as I said, Makari Page, very impressive first quarter from him. Very strong all around from the defense. Ernest Hausman, Will Johnson, just getting in, making those right hits, showing acceleration, urgency to sort of chase down players. Definitely something you want to see.
Back to football. Warren at the 43-yard line in the gun. 2 receivers to his right, One to his left. Donovan Edwards in the backfield to his left. Max Bredesen in motion. Play action to Edwards. Warren has time. Uncorks the deep ball. Looking for Fred Moore. And it is picked off at the 1 yard line. That's Cam Lockridge going back the other way. Lockridge is finally knocked down at the 35. Oh boy, Cam Lockridge was briefly trailing behind Fred Moore, but able to jump in front of him, pick that pass off. Davis Warren, the interception.
It wasn't the worst thrown ball, but I just think it was a few yards off. Maybe lacked a bit of speed there. Kind of slowly sailed there, and which gave enough time for Lockridge to make the interception. I think if Warren had gotten that out a bit quicker, Fred Moore would have been able to get to it at time.
So it'll be Fresno State ball now. At their own 35-yard line, Mikey Keene in pistol back behind him. Michigan shows 4, they bring 5. Hand off to the left side, making some guys miss. There down is Malik Sherrod. He'll pick up 3 yards down to the 38. 3 minutes and 10 seconds to play in the first quarter. 2nd and 7, 7-0 Wolverines.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, Keene so far throwing reasonably well despite the interception. Jalen Moss leading the Bulldogs with 2 receptions off 3 targets for 22 yards. No one else with significant volume or yardage.
Keene under center. Sherrod the single back. He hasn't been under center much today, has Keene. Pitch back to Malik Sherrod to the right side. He cuts it back up the middle, and he's down with a first down over to they'll mark him at the 46-yard line. That's a good run there for Malik Sherrod. Yeah,
and I think what he did really well was sort of keep his entire body closer to the ground, sort of hunches in. I definitely think it helped with his ball security as he made that sharp turn to avoid the Wolverines defender.
1st and 10 from the Fresno State 46. Keene in the pistol. 2 wide receivers to either side. Sherrod the back behind him. Keene gets the snap. Scampers, now pitches it to the right side. Sherrod trying to get to the edge, and he's wrapped up. Derek Moore sets the edge and makes the tackle. 1 yard pickup. Under 2 minutes to play here in the first quarter. 1:52 and ticking here. 2nd and 9, ball on the Fresno State 47-yard line. Mikey Keene back in shotgun. 2 wide receivers to the left side, 2 to the right side. Moving is Cameron Beecham, the tight end. He comes to the right side of the line. Keene takes the snap, drops back to pass. Uncorks a floating deep ball. Nobody going to get there. He was looking for Jalen Moss. It falls incomplete. 1:22 left here. 3rd and 9 from the Fresno State 47.
Yeah, and I think he was expecting an extra burst of acceleration from Moss to sort of do that final bit of work and get to the ball, but it wasn't going to happen.
1:22 in the first quarter. 7-0 Wolverines. 3rd and 9. Fresno State 47. Mikey Keene and company need 9 yards here. Keene drops back in the gun. 2 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Tailback to his left, Gilliam now. Gilliam on his right. Keene takes the snap, drops back. Pressure comes, throws it out to the right side, and it's over the head of his tight end, Cameron Beecham. Incomplete. Wolverine defense gets a stop. 4th and 9, 1:18 to play in the first quarter. And the Bulldogs will punt it back to the Wolverines.
I don't necessarily think that the Bulldogs' offensive line has been as porous as some might have suggested, but at the same time, I think they are resistant to the Wolverines, or vulnerable to the Wolverines' ability to create pressure, which is something that they've done extremely well, as I emphasized. Even last year, no one on the team had perfectly high sack totals, but that reflects the ability of the unit to sort of share the love and do what they need to do to get the ball out.
Clay Lawrence to punt it away. He boots it from his own 35. This time it's Samaj Morgan back. He'll catch it. Fair catch at the 12-yard line. So that's where the Wolverines will get it. Oh, they'll give him the 13. Seems a little bit generous there, but 13-yard line there. 1:10 to play in the first quarter still. 7-0 Michigan. Bit stagnant here after the quick forced turnover to the interception. Zeke Berry, quick touchdown for the Wolverines. Punts back and forth. Wolverines have a long way to go now this time.
Yeah, and I think I can't necessarily fault Warren for the interception. I think he might have slightly overestimated his capabilities on that particular route, but at the same time, I think it's worth giving the plaudits for at least attempting that deep ball.
Warren has trips to his right, back to his right in the gun. In motion comes Tyler Morris. Handoff to Donovan Edwards up the middle. Pyle moves him forward. They'll give him 16 and a half. So a pickup there of around 4 for Donovan Edwards. 57 seconds and ticking here. 2nd and 6. Around the 17-yard line. That's a good first down, 4-yard pickup on the ground. Warren back in the gun here. Once again, Edwards to his right. Tight end, 2 receivers to his right now. Colston Loveland moves to the left side. Another receiver over there. Warren claps, gets the ball, drops back from the gun, throws right side. Colston Loveland has it. They'll mark him out of bounds just short of the first down at the 22.
And one thing that Loveland does quite well for a tight end is create separation. Not necessarily needing to sort of fight off defenders. Loveland is just good at finding space. And its consequences of both his acceleration, which maybe not the fastest player on the team, but certainly fast enough to get into space, and his own size sort of creating a barrier of sorts around him. And it's definitely very helpful for both short and long yardage situations. That's his 2nd reception today, I believe. Yes, it is. 2 receptions for 18 yards for Loveland, averaging about a healthy 9 yards per reception.
Wolverines will let the quarter come to an end. So there's the first quarter, 7-0 Wolverines. Bit tumultuous at times, but the Wolverine defense has looked every bit of the part. The offense has had some flashes and still a lot to play here in Game 1, the reigning national champs. Back in action. It's going to be an exciting season. Texas comes to town next week at noon. WCBN will have the call for that one as well. We'll have the call every Michigan football game all season long. This is a tough schedule for the Michigan Wolverines. They may have gotten some flack last year for the schedule. You can't make that argument this year. Texas out of conference. Oregon in conference. Of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes at the end of the year. They go to Washington. Not an easy schedule for the Wolverines this year.
And welcoming USC as well.
And welcoming a good USC squad.
Yeah, and USC and Washington, both teams that do look a little different on the back of losing Caleb Williams and Michael Penix to the NFL draft, but both still very good squads. It's a year of flux for Michigan, both on the field losing key contributors, including their head coach of a national championship winning team, and it's also a year of flux in the conference as the Big Ten gets bigger than it ever has. And I think the Wolverines, their motto this season will be to embrace the change. And for Sherrone Moore, that means don't necessarily stick to your conceptions of lineups, as we saw today, him showing his willingness to tweak the starters a little bit, even just sort of embracing the openness of this quarterback battle and letting both of the 2 key leaders in this race sort of embrace their strengths before he figures out an answer to who he wants leading the line.
Still a lot to be settled with this Wolverine team. Of course, things can change as the season goes on. But for the moment, mostly Davis Warren at quarterback. It's been Dominic Jadis at center, Evan Link at right tackle. Things can always change. Davis Warren, 4 for 5, 21 yards. Had the interception and a deep shot toward Fred Moore on a post route. Alex Orji, 1 for 1, just a little 3-yard touch pass over to Donovan Edwards for the lone Michigan score. 7-0 Michigan. First quarter of play concluded. Thank you for tuning in to WCBN Sports, the official student voice of Michigan athletics.
As the helmet game plays at the monitors of the Big House, I really like this game. I think it's one of my favorite traditions at the stadium. I'd be playing myself if I wasn't so focused on giving you all the best possible coverage of the football game. Don't worry, you can thank me later.
It was helmet number 3 for those that were curious. Jumbotron showing some clips of a U of M student section. I recognized a fellow that I play pickup basketball with at the IM building. But nevertheless, back to football for the moment. 7-0 Wolverines. About to get back underway. Wolverines flip ends. They're now moving right to left from our viewpoint. They have the ball at the 22-yard line, 3rd and 1 to begin the second quarter. Jumbo formation here for the Wolverines. Alex Orji at quarterback in the gun, back to his right. Orji takes the snap, hands it off to Kalel Mullings. Does he have enough? It's going to be close. We'll see where they spot this. The Bulldogs, some fists in the air. They think they stopped him short, and that is where they'll mark it. Kalel Mullings couldn't pick up the 1 yard out of the shotgun. Stopped short there by the Bulldogs. So the Wolverines will have to punt it away.
Yeah, and I think this Bulldogs defensive line has been quietly impressive today. I think it was one of their strengths that I really wasn't expecting. Although they do have Devo Bridges, who was, I believe, second team All Mountain West last season, logged 51 tackles and 3 sacks last season. So there is talent on this defensive line, and they've shown it with their performance against the vaunted run game of the Wolverines.
Fair catch on the punt there by Jalen Moss at the 39-yard line. On that last run play, Cameron Braca, the safety, came flying in to wrap up Mullings short of the first down. It's a really good play there by the senior safety. So Fresno State will take over now at their own 39-yard line. Mikey Keene in the pistol. Tight end, 2 receivers to his right, 1 way out wide to his left. Back behind him, Elijah Gilliam. In motion on the move is Jaden Dames. Play action from Keene over the middle, complete for the first down and a couple more down to the Michigan 49. Again to Jalen Moss.
And last season, Keene threw for 2,796 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, in addition to the fact that he was able to lead the Bulldogs to a 9-win season and a bowl game victory.
13:45 to play in the second quarter. 1st and 10 from the Michigan 49. Keene in the pistol once again, brings the receiver in motion left to right. Handoff moving to his right here. In a pickup for not much. They'll give him nothing. Gilliam, the one to get the carry, just gets back to the line of scrimmage. Tackle made by Wesley Walker. The Tennessee transfer makes the tackle out of the safety spot. That's another room to keep an eye on. Quentin Johnson might see some time. Wesley Walker might see some time. Jaden Mangum might see some time at safety alongside Makari Page. Keene back in the pistol again, back behind him. Trips to his left. One to his right. One comes in motion left to right. Keene throws out of the right side. Pass high and unable to be hauled in there. Pitch throw a little high to his tight end, Jake Baust. Big hit was coming in as well there. Hit laid by the number 12 of Amir Hall, the Albany transfer. That'll bring up 3rd and 10 with 12:57. Mikey Keene back in the gun. 2 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. The back to his right, Elijah Gilliam. 3rd and 10 from the Michigan 49-yard line. Man in motion is Cameron Beecham. Snap, throw to Beecham on the left side. And that pass is dropped. Hit laid there by Zeke Berry. Flag thrown in the backfield. We'll see what this is. Looks like it'll be holding. Jaden McBurrows came flying in.
And looking at the personnel and the formation, before the play, I expected a flea flicker or play action play. Not necessarily what we got, but still a pass play. So
penalty decline, 4th and 10. So Jaden McBurrows, another depth guy with a nice play to hit Cameron Beecham as he tried to haul that high pass in. Would never have picked up the first either way. 4th and 10 from the 49. They'll punt it away. And here comes the punt. Kick will go over the head and into the end zone. Tyler Morris was back that time. He smartly let it go into the end zone. Michigan will take over at the 25-yard line. 12:42 to play here in the second quarter.
one thing that's worth noting is that even last season with the highs that the Wolverines hit, they had a penchant to start some games off slowly. I remember the Indiana game, the Bowling Green game. The Wolverines, at least on the opposite side of the ball, would definitely not necessarily come firing out of the gate. And another thing to note is that Fresno State, despite not being necessarily a blue chip program, has produced some considerable NFL talent. You've got Duron Bland, Cowboys cornerback, pick-6 record holder. More notably, you've got current Saints and former Raiders Pro Bowl starting quarterback Derek Carr, and former All-Pro wide receiver, also for the Raiders and formerly of the Packers, Davante Adams. So this is a school that has put some NFL talent, some very notable NFL talent, if you're at all a fan of pro football.
If you want to start with the unique group, Jalen Moss, #1 wideout for this Fresno State squad. Last year, had 706 receiving yards in his redshirt freshman campaign. He was the first freshman or redshirt freshman to have 2 100-yard games since Davante Adams. That's a good name to be grouped with among Fresno State alums.
Adams, a potential Hall of Famer, longtime teammate of Aaron Rodgers, former All-Pro wide receiver, has still put up some excellent numbers in a time of flux for the Las Vegas Raiders ever since his trade in the offseason of 2022.
12:42 left to play here in the second quarter. Michigan gets the ball back at their own 25-yard line. 75 to go for the Wolverines. They lead 7-0. That touchdown came back with 11 minutes and 3 seconds left in the first quarter. Nobody has scored in the last 14 minutes of play. 12:42 left here in the second quarter. Behind Eastwar and I will take you the rest of the way in this half. Then we'll turn it over to Kendall Spencer and Gavin Briggs for our second half coverage. Do not go anywhere. This is still quite a ball game, one-score game, 7-0 Wolverines. Another chance for Davis Warren, Alex Orji, and the rest of this Michigan offense to show what they've got in the tank here. Warren comes out. He'll start the drive at quarterback. Donovan Edwards, the running back. Now out comes the Fresno State defense.
And I think, barring the interception, I think Warren has been a reasonably safe pair of hands throughout this first quarter. He's definitely more so just sort of managing the game, sort of trying to get some short yardage gains, handing it off to his running backs. But he's done that well, and it'll remain to be seen what the result is. It's still only 7-0. We're still very early in the second quarter. Not necessarily too much to speak of in this football game so far, but we're sure by the time that fourth quarter is over, there'll be plenty on the minds of both Wolverines and Bulldogs faithful.
$12:42 left here in the second quarter. Looks like it'll be Davis Warren in the gun. Donovan Edwards to his left. Peyton O'Leary, a sole receiver, to his left. And a trips on the right. Samaj Morgan up and behind him, a few steps off the line of scrimmage, Tyler Morris and Colston Loveland. So that's the personnel for the Wolverines. Fresno State shows 4 on the line of scrimmage.
Right, and Donovan Edwards, probably the face of this Wolverines offense, the face of EA Sports College Football 2025, almost sort of the face of this Wolverines team, had an inconsistent at points regular season, maybe didn't necessarily go the way he wanted to, but came up big time in the postseason, especially in that national championship, arguably the best player on the field for the Wolverines. Just a huge performer in big games, as those of you who watched the 2022 Ohio State game in Columbus will recall.
Donovan Edwards just waving his hands up over his head, pumping up the Michigan crowd. We're about to get back underway. Edwards still waving his hands, trying to bring this big house crowd to life.
Yeah. Fans love him, affectionately refer to him as the Don, and rightfully so. With his imposing running style, when Edwards takes over a game, there's very little you could do to stop him, as he and Blake Corum have formed arguably one of the most devastating running back tandems in college football history over the past 2 to 3 years.
Warren in the gun, Edwards to his left, the 3 to his right, 1 to his left. Colston Loveland now comes in next to his right tackle, Evan Link. Warren claps, doesn't get the ball. Claps again, no ball. Third clap gets the snap, looks to his left side, throws. And that one goes to Peyton O'Leary. It falls incomplete.
Yeah, and O'Leary's a player who I mentioned definitely would be interesting to see him out on the field. Wasn't expecting him to see much of him today, but he's been brought in now. He's definitely a bigger receiver, sort of breaking the mold from the Wolverines' small, speedy receivers that they've had on success with in the past few years.
Cam Lockridge able to get a hand in that time. Warren in the gun, back to his right, 2 receivers out to the right side. Claps takes the snap, handoff to Donovan Edwards. Pyle moves a little bit forward, but Edwards doesn't get much. They'll give him a loss of a yard, actually. A little late action on the play with a Pyle that Edwards was not a part of. So that'll bring up 3rd and 11 at the Michigan 19-yard line. 12:15 and ticking left here in the second quarter. This is another spot here where Davis Warren might have to throw. 3rd and long, 3rd and 11. 12 minutes to play in the second. Ball at the 19. 2 receivers to either side. Back to his right is Donovan Edwards. 5 on the line for the Bulldogs. They only bring 4. Warren takes the snap. Pressure comes. He's wrapped up and brought down at the 6-yard line.
And earlier I mentioned how I'd been impressed with Warren's quick reads so far. He'd been getting the ball out fairly quickly. There, I think he just held on to the ball a little longer than he should have. It wasn't egregious. It was maybe only a second later, but that was still enough for the Bulldogs to come in with the stop in what has been a very impressive defensive showing from them so far.
It was big number 99, Ezra Christensen. They had wrapped up Davis Warren. So the Wolverines will have to punt it away. Back in his own end zone is Tommy Doman. He'll boot it. Jalen Moss going to have to come in. He'll catch the punt at around the 46. He'll get up to the other side at around the Michigan 46. Penalty marker comes out. We'll see what the call is here. So a hold called there. So Fresno State will back up, and they'll have the ball at their own 48, 49-yard line. Excuse me, this will go all the way back to the 39-yard line. The penalty on the return, just a short return for Jalen Moss of 9 yards, and he loses all of it and then some with the holding. Penalty was on Cam Lockridge, who's had a couple really nice plays defensively at cornerback, but a mishap there for him. 7-0 Wolverines, 10:58 left here in the second quarter. Ball on the 39 for Mikey Keene in the Fresno State Bulldogs. This offense has been quieted. They are going up against, this is a defensive unit last year, as good as it gets. One of the best defenses all time, you could argue, with a lot of returning pieces, and they've looked the part once again so far in game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, especially that defensive tackle group, the Grant Graham tandem has looked as strong as it was expected. Secondary doesn't seem to have really missed a beat despite some big departures and big losses to injury in the offseason. Very strong so far. As I mentioned, Page and Johnson both coming out to start the new season strong with some stops and plays in big moments. As the stadium plays Your Love by the Outfield, one of my favorite 80s songs.
Seven 7-0 Wolverines, 10:58 to play here in the second quarter. But in a way, this has been not that unusual of a performance for this Michigan team. Defense has been everything you could ask for. Offense has had some flashes, It also has left a little bit to be desired. Just the 7 points on the board, and that one came in the short field after a Zeke Berry interception. But again, game 1 of the season, new quarterback, 2 new quarterbacks really. New pieces on the offensive line, new pieces in the wide receiver room. Sherrone Moore's squad, still a lot of time to develop, but first they've got to take care of game 1 here against the Bulldogs. Mikey Keene and company will come back out at their own 39-yard line. Keene sets up in the gun, running back to his left, 2 receivers to his left, and 1 to his right. 10:58 left here to play in the second quarter. Michigan shows 5 on the line. We'll see how many they bring. Keene in the gun, waits for the snap. Keene comes up under center to talk to his line. Now backs up. Elijah Gilliam switches to the right side of his quarterback. Keene claps, takes the snap, handoff. That's, Malik Sherrod, the running back. Tries to go left. Pyle moves a little bit forward. They'll give him about 2.5 yards. Some extracurriculars a little bit after the play. Sherrod got wrapped up with Jaden McBurrows. They'll break it up. Nothing doing there. 2-yard pickup for Malik Sherrod.
And Malik Sherrod is coming off a standout campaign last season with the Bulldogs with 152 carries, 876 yards, and 9 touchdowns for 5.8 yards per carry, and 179 receiving yards and 1 rushing touchdown.
2nd and 8, play action, deep shot down the left side, back shoulder ball. Did Jalen Moss haul that in? Oh boy, they'll give him the grab. Moss had to contort his body in the air, brought that one in down at the 36-yard line of the Wolverines. That's a big-time catch by number 18. 1st and 10 now, 10:06 here to play in the second quarter. Keene back in the gun. It's a good back shoulder ball from Keene as well. He takes the snap, looks right, short pass outside to Magdalena. They'll mark him at the Michigan 29. Pickup of 7 on 1st down. Not too shabby at all from a Fresno State offense that might just be clicking.
Yeah, and Jalen Moss is now at 4 receptions, 457 yards.
Keene hands the ball off to Malik Sherrod, and they'll give him the 1st down and 1 more yard down to the 25. A 1st down for Sherrod. 9:28 and ticking here in the second quarter. Fresno State moving the football.
Yeah, as I was just saying, Moss, very strong start to the game from him. Sherrod, 7 carries, 21 yards, averaging 3 yards per carry. Not had too much to do in the sense of breakaway plays.
Handoff to Sherrod out of the pistol to the left side. He cuts it back up the middle, and he's brought down at around the 23-yard line.
And seemingly just on cue, as I said, that Sherrod hadn't been given as much to do as he'd been expected, he's handed the ball for a small gain.
Second and 8, in the pistol is Keene. He's got an H-back to his right, 2 receivers to that side. Sherrod behind him, Magdalena, the sole receiver on the left side. Now in the gun with the back to his right is Keene. Takes the snap, handoff to Sherrod to his left. Sherrod bottled up and brought down. No gain on the play there. Mason Graham, the big man in the middle, the one to put him to the ground.
And very few running backs in college last season were able to get anything done against this Michigan defensive line, most notably with the key stop of Alabama in the Rose Bowl that just showed just how crucial that this defensive line and run defense was to the Wolverines' national championship push last season.
3rd and 8 from the 23. Keene takes the snap in the gun, fires to the right side. He's got a man open, but he misfired, and Magdalena couldn't find the football. Delana had separated away from Will Johnson. Oh boy, that could have been 6, but instead, Fresno State will bring out the field goal unit.
Yeah, and Delana's not one of the bigger receivers on this team, but certainly brings speed and has definitely stretched the field so far today.
That was a good route there from Magdalena against one of the best cornerbacks in the country. Mikey Keene couldn't put the ball on his receiver's chest. 7:40 left here in the second quarter. Field goal try coming from Dylan Lynch. And the kick is up and through. So 3 points on the board for the Fresno State Bulldogs. 41-yard kick, pure for Dylan Lynch. 7-3 here, 7:35 to play in the second quarter.
Yeah, and I think that was not necessarily the drive that the Wolverines would have wanted, to allow Fresno State to really move the ball up the field, get some good points, and that route was dangerously open for Delana. It's just that Keene's throw couldn't quite connect with the receiver. But if you're Fresno State, I think showing that you can move the ball like that, which is definitely something we've seen in spurts all game so far, but not necessarily with sustained momentum like we just saw on that drive. Now they've shown that their sort of offensive style, which, like I said, is going to be very pass-heavy, very much reliant on throwing into windows, not necessarily a lot of big armed throws or a very run-heavy offense, as Keene certainly has some solid feet, is a scrambler, but isn't necessarily a drill at that quarterback.
But that throw there to Delina, that's one that might keep Keene up at night just a little bit. That had 6 written all over it. Magdalena, the senior Fresno, California native, really put a good move on Will Johnson. But now instead, after immediate timeout, minute and a half left of that, Wolverines will get the ball back, still up by 4. 7:35 to play in the second quarter. Thank you for tuning in to WCBN, the official student radio of the University of Michigan. I'm Alex Miller, alongside me, Vihan Eastwar. It's been a fun first half back here in the big house.
Yeah, definitely a little cautious from both teams, but I think in not learning much, we've learned much.
Care to elaborate?
Yeah, I think in both teams' relative sense of restraint that they've shown, I think they've both kind of underlined their offensive philosophies quite a bit. Like, for example, we've seen a lot of these shorter, more like tight window throws from Fresno State, which kind of underlines their philosophy. They've got a couple of guys who are speedy, but not necessarily big. And the Wolverines, who haven't necessarily worked with big body receivers in the past few years, have sort of reflected that. But more so in seeing the more cautious run-first approach, we've seen that the more hire was based on continuity, and it looks like for the most part the Wolverines are going to have continuity in the sense of the style of offense that they run. So in seeing both teams restrain themselves relatively, we've learned a bit about what kind of offensive philosophies both of these coordinators employ.
I think you're right. The Wolverines, this is a team, they want to run the football. They don't trust their defense to get stops, and defense has continued to hold up their end of the bargain. That possession there, the best Fresno State has looked all day by a fair margin. That chunk play to Jalen Moss. Fantastic catch by the young receiver Moss. A couple other nice plays in there for the Fresno State offense. They only end up with 3. The Bulldogs will boot it away once again here from near the right hash to do it.
And now I'm curious to see if the Wolverines' offensive philosophy is going to change drastically in this quarter. I don't expect it to, as that has not really been the MO these past few years. Just the MO has sort of just been stick to the run, stick to your run-first approach, your run-heavy approach, and it will pay dividends.
Kick brought out here, and on the move up the middle and down past the 25-yard line. They'll mark him at around the 26.
Yeah, and we've seen some pretty solid returns so far. I think good effort by the special teams, which has again been a big aspect of the Wolverines' success over the past few years.
That was Kalel Mullings on the return. Not a guy I think I thought I'd see back there on a kick return. So the Wolverines get it at the 26-yard line. 7:27 to play here in the second quarter. 7-3 Wolverines. Davis Warren in the gun. 2 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Tight end as well to his left. In the back is Kalel Mullings. Mullings now on the left of Warren. Bulldogs show 4. Run up the middle. And the Fresno State line bottles it up. They'll give a yard there on the carry to Mullings. Fresno State line got some push on the Michigan offensive line that's full of some new pieces. So that'll bring up 2nd and 9, ball at the Michigan 27. 7 minutes to play here in the second quarter. Back in the gun is Davis Warren. 3 receivers to the left side, 1 to the right, back to his right in the gun. Warren takes the snap, drops back. It's a good block from Mullings. Over the middle, caught. That's the number 12 of Kendrick Bell, and he's up, down. They'll mark him at around the 38-yard line. A first down, Kendrick Bell with the reception, his first catch of the year. His first catch of his college career, in fact. Younger brother of Michigan legend Ronnie Bell.
Yeah, I was just about to comment on the family relation. Bell was obviously a huge part of the Wolverines' ascendancy to the point of winning the national championship, most notably in that 2022 season.
Rolling, bounced outside by Mullings to the right side. It's a good patient read there by Mullings. He'll get down to the 43-yard line. 5-yard pickup on first down. Under 6 to play here in the second quarter. 7-3 Wolverines. Ball now on the Michigan 43-yard line. So 2nd and 5. Options here for this Michigan offense. Davis Warren, the former walk-on, has earned his spot at the lead of this Wolverine squad. Trips to his left, a running back to his left in the gun. In motion across the formation comes C.J. Charleston. Handoff up the middle goes Mullings. And he gets close to the first. Looks like they'll give it to him. Another 5-yard pickup for Kalel Mullings. And that'll move the chains. Down to the 49.
Starting to get Mullings into a rhythm. We've seen a bit of his elusivity. We've seen a bit of his ability to run in tight spaces. Not necessarily barreling into Bulldogs defenders, just sort of waiting for a motion to open. And I think it's shown his vision and good reads of the game.
4:55 left here in the second quarter. Warren in the gun once again. Back to his left once again is Kalel Mullings. Takes the snap, handoff up the middle again goes Mullings. A little bit of push at the end of the play. They'll mark Mullings at the Fresno State 47-yard line. 6-yard pickup on first down. And this is the Sherrone Moore offense. They've gone back to Kalel Mullings up the middle. 5-5-6, the 3 carries for Mullings.
And Mullings is now at 8 rushes for 29 attempts, rushing about 3.6 yards per carry, which is respectable, especially considering the context of this new offensive line just sort of learning to block together.
Warren under center. Play action to Mullings. He drops back to pass. Throw to the right side. That is complete to Colston Loveland. Down to the 36-yard line. Out route to the tight end in play action. Wolverines moving now. 1st and 10 from the 36.
So just yesterday I was at dinner with a friend. We were discussing our favorite players on this Wolverines team. And we both agreed that it was Loveland because when you need just a big or reasonable yardage game, he's your guy to do it. If you want to move the ball downfield, you rely on Loveland, who can accelerate a bit. As I said, really good at creating separation. I think it's his best attribute to sort of get you just a couple of yards.
They'll mark it at the 37, 3:25 to play. And I believe a timeout called by the Michigan side. 3:25 left here. Sherrone Moore uses his first timeout of the half. Wants to think things over. 1st and 10. Ball at the Fresno State 37-yard line. Chance here for the Wolverines to get home.
Yeah. And, with less than 3 minutes on the clock, we'll see if... I think the Wolverines are probably just going to try and maybe run down the clock a little bit, get to the 2-minute warning, and I think this is prime setup for a field goal. Obviously, you want a touchdown, but I think the Wolverines will be happy with the field goal, and maybe their game plan is more so going to be focused on getting some time off the clock than necessarily trying to punch one in. Although, with the Wolverines, we've seen plenty of drives where we thought they were going to be more conservative and just suddenly just a big play from Roman Wilson or Blake Corum or Loveland, a big yardage play to get a touchdown in there.
And with 3:25, only the 37-yard line, 2 timeouts plus the new 2-minute timeout, there is plenty of time for the Wolverines to try First 7 here. Davis Warren in the gun. Empty backfield. 3 to his right, or excuse me, 3 to his left. Over the middle, complete. Colston Loveland for the first down, and he rumbles for a couple more. They'll mark him at the 25-yard line. The tight end has a big role right now for the Wolverines. 5th catch of the day for Loveland.
And Loveland is 4 catches for 40 yards. So, you know, you got the spirit. You got the spirit down. Loveland's good.
2:50 to play here in the second quarter. Warren in the gun, back to his left. In motion comes the receiver, and on the end around getting the ball. That's Donovan Edwards, who was lined up in the slot. He's not going to get back to the line of scrimmage. Edge set that time by Tuasivi Nomura, the linebacker.
Yeah, Nomura was a transfer from USC. Didn't play an awful lot at USC and was a transfer in 2023, although he only played 8 games last season due to injury. But he has been named a captain by the Bulldogs, who clearly trusted him to anchor this defense.
2:18, clock ticking here. It'll be 2nd and 12 after the loss. Wolverines try to get crafty with the end around. Warren in the gun now. Donovan Edwards back to his right, trips close to him on his left, one receiver to his right. Tyler Morris, the sole receiver up top on the right side, or excuse me, Kendrick Bell, the sole receiver. And another timeout called. Or that's the 2-minute timeout. My apologies. New rule. So 7-3 Wolverines, 2 minutes to play here in the second quarter.
And the 2-minute timeout is already existent in the NFL, has been for a very long time. Another adaptation. I think I like it as a rule because I think it gives teams to sort of shift their strategies, especially towards the end of the quarter. Depending on your field position, you're going to be thinking a little differently than you would. So it just sort of gives you a bit to break, refresh, and figure out how to get down the field or to make a stop.
7-3 Wolverines. Chance to add more. They're at the Fresno State 27, 2nd and long, 2nd and 12. You know, one thing we have not mentioned to this point, this is a $1.85 million buy game for the Wolverines to the Bulldogs. So Fresno State gets one of the bigger buy games in the country to come into the Big House in week 1. It's a tough place to play against the reigning national champions, but they're in this game for only down 4, 2 minutes left here in the first half.
Yeah, and while much has been made of the Bulldogs' offense, which has certainly shown signs, you definitely have to take note of their defense, especially their run defense has been quite effective. As the Wolverines' running backs were relatively bottled up for a lot of the game. Edwards with 5 attempts and only 3 yards, while Mullings has started to find his rhythm with 29 yards and still only averaging 3.6 yards per carry. And it speaks to both the Wolverines' new offensive line still kind of learning how to block together as a unit, but also the strength of this Bulldogs' run defense. And the Wolverines slightly outgaining the Bulldogs in terms of yards with 89 to 88. Bulldogs have a pretty sizable advantage in terms of passing yards, 72 to Michigan's 57, and Michigan outgaining them in rushing yards with 32 to 16. Michigan averaging 3.6 yards per play, the Bulldogs averaging 3.1 yards per play. 2 penalties for the Bulldogs as compared to 0 for Michigan. Although the Bulldogs are slightly leading the position statistics, which does sort of reflect the Wolverines, even last season at times, where they would be comfortable with letting their opponent having the ball more and just kind of making that stop at the end.
Two minutes left here in the first half. The Wolverines trying to strike again. 7-3 the score. Wolverines on top and back out they come. Ball at the left hash of the Fresno State 27. Alex Orgy at quarterback in the gun. Running back to his left, Kalel Mullings. 3 receivers to the right side. Orgy leans in. Mullings comes to his right now. Orgy backs up. claps his hands, takes the snap, and a handoff for Mullings. Doesn't get a whole lot. They'll give him about half a yard.
And it looks as though Warren's lining up for the next snap.
My apologies. They'll give him 3 yards. Got a yard past the original first down line of scrimmage marker. 1:37 left here. 3rd and 9 for the Wolverines. Davis Warren back at quarterback, as you said, partner. Donovan Edwards, the back, in the gun with him to his right. 2 receivers to either side. Big 3rd and 9 here. 1:20 to go here. Warren takes the snap, drops back to Edwards in the flat of the right side. Has to make a couple of guys miss, and he's wrapped up. Oh, boy, that's a big-time tackle right there. Play made that time by Julian Neal. It's a good tackle in space. Edwards wrapped up for a loss. It'll be 4th and 12 back at the 27-yard line. Wolverines will send out the field goal unit. Dominic Zavada will attempt. His holder, Tommy Doman, awaits at the 35-yard line. Here's the snap. Kick is up, and it is good. That's a good-looking kick there from Dominic Zavada. 10-3 Wolverines. Field goal try good. Wolverines could have hoped for more. Fresno State makes a stand. That defense has done a good job tonight, all things considered, for the Bulldogs. 45-yard field goal for Zavada. He's 2 for 2. Or excuse me, 1 for 1 in his Michigan career.
And as only about 30 seconds on the clock, so it will depend heavily on the sort of return that the Bulldogs can get. If they can put themselves in a decent position, I think they're going to be satisfied with exiting this half with a field goal and the knowledge that they will only be 4 points behind the Wolverines, the reigning national champions, after really staying in the game all half long. And I think you see them later on the field, then I think now would potentially be the time to sort of unleash Keene's arm to sort of drop a play to get Sherrod down the field.
There's the kick from Doman, and it is deep into the end zone. Fresno State will have it at the 25-yard line. So they'll have to go 75 yards in 31 seconds. All 3 timeouts for interim head coach Tim Skipper. The head man, Dr. Jeff Tedford, once again dealing with some health concerns. He stepped down, so Skipper steps up into the lead role here. His team, 31 seconds to go 75 yards. Trailing by 7, 10-3 Wolverines, 31 seconds to play here in the first half. Mikey Keene in the pistol, back behind him. 2 receivers to the right side, ball on the left hash. Takes the snap, hand off to Elijah Gilliam, cuts it back to the left side after making a man miss in the backfield. Picks up 8 yards, gets down to the 33-yard line. And they'll let the clock run.
The Bulldogs do have all 3 timeouts remaining.
Seems like Fresno State is content to go to the locker room down by 7.
And definitely an admirable showing for them in the first half. Would it have been worth to stop the clock and maybe attempt a Hail Mary? Possibly, but at the same time, I also understand the rationale behind not wanting the Wolverines to pick up another interception, because the Wolverines themselves have 2 timeouts and could have feasibly stopped the clock. I think in any scenario, the Bulldogs take what they can get from the first half, which is a lot of consolation despite the fact that they are behind, and definitely is something good to build off of.
So the Wolverines and Bulldogs go to the locker room. Michigan leads 10-3. So, Leon, what are your takeaways here? First half of Michigan football, Fresno State football. What did you see in this one so far?
Well, yeah, I think I've praised Fresno State a fair amount, and I think I'll touch upon that as well. They came in not expecting a blowout. They came in here to to play. They're taking this opportunity to really challenge themselves against the reigning national champions. We've seen a lot of great downfield movement from them. I mentioned Magdalena, who's been quick and run some great routes. Keene's definitely had a lot of nice throws. Yeah, he had the interception, but he's also shown some courage to really throw the ball into some tight windows. Not as much running of the ball from Malik Sherrod as I would have expected to see, as he's one of the key playmakers on this team, one of the best running backs in the entire Mountain West. But at the same time, I understand the rationale behind not wanting to run the ball against the best run defense in the country. As you said, one of college football's best ever run defenses. To shift things back to Michigan, like I said, I thought this first half was reminiscent of some of Michigan football's first halves last year, in which they were a little slower, a little bit more cautious, because there's a big part of Michigan's brand, run the ball as much as possible, wear out your opponent, and sort of put scores on the board later in the game to kill your opponent off. And I think it's very much that same patient strategy that Moore espoused while he was offensive coordinator, and obviously we can't say whether or not it'll work because it's only a one-possession lead at halftime. But so far, it looks as though they've decided to keep that aspect of their game stable. Definitely starting to work into a rhythm with Kyle Mullings, who has had the lion's share of the carries, which sort of makes sense when you understand the way Donovan Edwards was used in the tandem last year when Blake Corum was healthy. Maybe you would expect a little bit more from him, but at the same time, as I said, he was coming off what was at times a difficult regular season, which he made up for in the postseason. As for other position groups, defense can't really complain with the showing that they had. Great from the secondary. As I mentioned, Kari Page really stood out. Josiah Stewart and Derek Moore continuing to work very well as a pass rush tandem, as they did so all of last season. Grant Graham have been very tight against Sherrod, which has been a big reason why the Bulldogs have been a little bit more averse to running the ball. I think on the whole, nothing necessarily to worry about. We're only a half in. The Wolverines have the lead, and this is reflecting of their more patient approach that they've espoused around under Sherrone Moore in the past few years. And it paid off dividends then, and while you're rocking with different personnel, I think the best thing to do is sort of play an offense that the majority of your players know. This offense is largely maintaining personnel besides the big Josh Preeb transfer. This is a system they know. One last bit of praise for Colson Loveland, a player who I have praised excessively. I think he's been the best offensive performer on the field, really shown that value and that ability to really separate himself and come up big on second and third down situations. I think he's going to cement himself as tight end one over the course of this season, and this is showing what he can do. I'm sorry, I just kind of have a lot to get off my chest for this half, so we'll move on to the quarterbacks quickly. Warren, aside from the interception, sort of the half I were expecting them to give him. Not necessarily anything particularly complex, but what he was given to execute, he executed well. He seems to have done a good job of managing the offense, sort of keeping the rhythm. Made some good throws when he needed to, especially from short distance. And then you have Orji, who obviously came in big on that second third down conversion in the red zone to sort of get the touchdown. So I think overall, not the most thrilling first half for either team, but I think it's a first half that has shown a lot about what both teams value and has shown that the Michigan Wolverines are still a good football team. It'll remain to be seen how good, and the Fresno State Bulldogs are nowhere near the pushover. Like, this is that some expect them to be. Like, this isn't Colorado State or East Carolina, opponents that Michigan blew out in season openers right out of the gate. This is a football team that has come out here with the intention of taking a result off the national champions.
Michigan, the defense showed up. Wolverines struggled to run the ball for the most part. Kyle Mullings, 9 for 32 yards, 3.6 yards per carry. Donovan Edwards, 5 attempts for only 3 yards. Davis Warren, 8 for 10 with a pick. Alex Orji, 1 for 1. The short 3-yard touchdown to Donovan Edwards. The Michigan marching band, the performance, they showed 15-0. They showed number 1 in the college football world, and they'll end with the band in the formation saying, "Hail to the victors." One last thing, Davis Warren. So he draws the start. This is a guy who's had quite a career arc. Out of high school, had leukemia in high school. Thought was a little bit under-recruited, also played in a triple option in high school. Wasn't able to show off his talents to the degree that he would like. Walked on at Michigan. 2 years ago was J.J. McCarthy's primary backup. Last year was jumped briefly by Jack Tuttle, and this year comes out and sticks with it, wins the starting quarterback job. It's a good story for Davis Warren, and reports out of camp, a lot of respect between him, Alex Orge, his entire quarterback room views that job as the job of the room. Whoever gets the ball one day, that's the man, and no hard feelings, support for the next guy up. Obviously, these guys want to be the guy. They want that role. They're both guys that believe they can be pros at the next level, but at the end of the day, it's all about this team and about winning, and that's what Sherrone Moore has instilled in this Michigan squad. So 10-3, our score through the first half. Vihan, any final thoughts before we turn this away to our second half crew?
Yeah, I mean, my apologies. I mean, I don't have anything particularly conclusive to say about Michigan based on this half. Like I said, I like what I saw, but given Sherrone Moore's approach to running an offense, we haven't really seen the best of this team just yet. We've seen them be patient, sort of choke their opponent off, really wear them out, and I think we're only halfway through that process. The Bulldogs do have a fairly solid defensive line, as I mentioned, Devo Bridges, who was one of the better pass rushers in the Mountain West last season. So remains to be seen what we can expect out of the second half, but I think pretty solid first half. Good to be back in the big house. Good to be here with you. Very experienced very experienced broadcaster, one of the best in the business.
I don't know about that, but I'll take it.
Yeah, it's been a fun first half, and I look forward to turning it over to Kendall and Gavin, who will certainly deliver with a great second half.
Fun first half with the Vihan, 10-3 Wolverines. We'll step away briefly, and then Kendall Spencer and Gavin Briggs will take it home the rest of the way. Thank you for tuning in to WCBN Sports, the official student voice of Michigan Athletics. Vihan Eastwar, my partner, Alex Miller, signing off for the first half. We'll let you enjoy the Michigan Marching Band briefly, then Kendall Spencer, Gavin Briggs, the West of the Ray. Go Blue.
Good luck to the new head coach, Sherrone Moore, and the 2024 Michigan football team. Go Blue!
Hello everyone, welcome back. It's about 4 minutes left here in halftime at Michigan Stadium. I'm Kendall Spencer and I'll be doing play-by-play for you for the second half. I'm joined by Gavin Briggs, who'll be my color commentator. Not quite the outcome that a lot of Michigan fans were expecting, though some might have told you this isn't a surprise at all. 10-3 is our score at half. Gavin, what was the biggest thing you saw impacting this game for the Wolverines in that first half?
So the run game was not nearly as dominant as you would have expected. Started to pick up later. Khalil Mullings gotten the fair share of carries here. Donovan Edwards just 5 attempts for 3 total yards. Not what you would have been hoping for this Michigan season.
Yeah, the Wolverines are coming in here pretty drastically changed on offense. I mean, the defense, you've seen a lot of the same names, but offensively it's almost a clean slate. And one of the biggest impacts, one of the biggest losses we've really been seeing for this Wolverine team is the lack of Blake Corum and that speed. How do you think the Wolverines need to approach the offense in the second half to get that back?
They definitely need to keep going back to Colson Loveland. He has been amazing today on the receiving end. 4 catches for 40 yards, but it has felt like he's done a lot more than that. Blocking by him has been incredible. He has done a great job trying to spring carries for the running backs, and I think he's been a big part of any of the rushing yards that they have gained.
Yeah, absolutely. On defense, though, not exactly seeing the same struggle. Who do you like so far, and what do you think the defense have been doing well?
The secondary has actually been very, very, very impressive. You brought a lot of experience back. You have, obviously, Will Johnson, who has had a fairly solid day. He had the 1 catch early on right on him, and also had the double move that led to a drop from Magdalena. But he's looked all right. But then you have Jair Hill, the sophomore, playing phenomenally so far. And then McCarthy Page made a lot of plays on that back end. The defensive front 7 was supposed to be the strength of this team. It was the last couple of years. It still looks pretty good this year. Mason Graham up the middle, Kenneth Grant, those two have been incredible stopping the run and trying to hold Malik Sherrod as much as possible, just holding him to 23 yards so far in this first half.
Yeah, neither team, has really had the game they've wanted on offense. I mean, it's been stagnant on both sides. I heard a stat earlier. Did you bring this up?
Yeah, there was both offenses have not reached 100 total yards so far. Not what you would be looking for in the first half of a college football game. Normally known for good offenses, college, you have the wide hashes. You tend to see a lot more yards than you would in the NFL, but neither team reaching 100 yards so far. As well, third down efficiency has not been good for either team. They're a combined 1 for 11 on third downs. Not what you would be looking to see in the first game.
Stagnant on both sides. And one of the biggest storylines of, this entire season for the Wolverines is obviously there's been some positional battles, but a lot of people like to say, I might not be included, but who am I kidding? We're all included. Quarterback is the most important position on the field. They're the field general. Everyone knows why quarterbacks always win MVP. It's because that's how you run a team. And the Wolverines, maybe a little bit shocking to some people, came out, started Davis Warren instead of Alex Orji, who a lot more people were expecting to see. they have used Orgy in a couple packages, but so far Warren has been the guy. Do you think that continues in the second half, or do you think we're going to start seeing more of Orgy?
I would hope that they bring a little bit more of Alex Orgy into the game the second half. He has the one pass attempt that led to a touchdown on that first drive, but besides that has just handed the ball off. They need to get him a couple carries, but he also needs to keep throwing the ball, keep the defense guessing, because you can't possibly run a two-quarterback system later in the year if you are leaving Alex Orgy just to hand off the ball or run the ball. Teams are going to be able to stack the box, and you're not going to have any threat of him passing.
Yeah, absolutely. As great as Orgy has been, in the run game, if that's all you're bringing him for, I mean, that's basically sending up a big signal that we're doing a quarterback sneak here. We're having a design run play.
Yeah.
Just about to get things started here. Second half. 10-3 is our score as they'll kick it off. That's going to be caught in the end zone. Taking it up the inside. Mullings, and he's taken down at around the 27-yard line.
Yeah, we're interested to see how this Michigan offense will look starting the second half. They're going to get the ball around the 27-yard line here. Hopefully they get a couple runs in, keep that run game going that they started to get towards the end of that second half, and hopefully get a big play going to start this second half.
Yeah, it seemed like we were seeing some momentum from the offense, and then that 2-minute warning just killed it. Davis Warren will be in at quarterback to start this second half. Take the handoff to Edwards, who'll look outside to Loveland, taken out of bounds at around the 29 for pickup of about 2 yards.
Conservative play call to start the second half. I mean, this is what you're used to with Michigan football: run the ball, play action. I like getting the ball to Loveland early. Hope that he can make a quick play off of it.
Colson Loveland, one of the biggest threats for this Michigan Wolverines offense. And this game has been no exception. Orgy in at quarterback. He'll take it himself up the middle. Maybe if they're lucky, get 1 yard on that. Fresno State was all over that. And like, you've mentioned, if you only bring Orgy in a run, they're going to know you're running.
Yeah, not a lot of room to run there. He didn't get the blocking he would have hoped for. The defensive line did a great job shedding and getting to the quarterback down the middle.
They'll go back to Warren. Shotgun with Edwards on his left-hand side. Gets the snap. Looking for Loveland over the middle. He's good. He'll take 2 guys with him up the field. Pass over the 50-yard line for a Wolverines first down.
Colson Loveland, so incredible after the catch. You see it there. He has so much power for not being a super big guy. Very tall Loveland at 6'5", but he does a great job dragging the defenders behind him. Wonderful catch and run from Colson Loveland there.
I'm as big of a tight end fan as they come, and he's been exciting. He only seems to be getting better. Warren in shotgun with Edwards to the right. Morris comes across. Warren will take it looking downfield. He finds Edwards, tries to grab it one-handed around the 55-yard line, but bounces out. No damage done. Incomplete pass.
Yeah, tried to run the short angle route from Donovan Edwards there. The linebacker was right there, even if he would have made that grab. Not sure he would have been able to hold on to it or get much out of it anyways. Great coverage there by Tuasivi Nomura.
Warren gets a snap, fires Loveland immediately over the middle of the field.
Great catch there from Loveland. Outstretched arms, able to haul it in. A little bit ahead of him, but he is, as we've seen today, very, very, very incredible and has done a great job. Sure hands, making every single play he can.
And it feels like every time it's taken at least 2 to 3 guys to take him down. It reminds me a lot of George Kittle on the Niners, where it always feels like there's at least 3 guys trailing off of him as he runs down the field. I mean, it's exciting to see Loveland do that in college even. Shotgun formation, Edwards on the right side. Warren, ball over the middle.
Tyler Morris makes the grab there. Great route, great pass. And Warren's looking a little more comfortable so far this second half. He's done a great job finding Loveland. Seems to be his favorite target early on, and I can't blame him with how well he's played.
Yeah, and we mentioned that, you know, Michigan really needed to get those wide receivers involved to get the speed back in the game. It's good to see him looking for him early, especially, you know, when they have a chance to drive down the field, get points up right away, which they failed to do at the end of the first half. Warren with Edwards to his left. He'll hand the ball off to Edwards. Edwards up the middle. He makes a couple guys miss, getting some help from his line. Push up the right side to about the 30.
Yeah, the run game, it's very much been short yardage, but, you know, that worked a lot last year. They just need to get one, just spring it. That's what Edwards is very good at. He's good at getting 2-3 yards a carry, but then going for 20, 30 yards on runs later in the game, wears down the defense, and does a great job typically.
The Wolverines have steadily pushed it downfield. Orgy in now. In shotgun as well. 2 receivers on both sides, but he'll hand it off to Edwards, pushing up the left side. Stiff arms a guy, but there's a flag on the field. He's going up the left-hand side. He'll go out of bounds at about the 21, but like I mentioned, there is a flag in the backfield.
It was a great move by Edwards. Good stiff arm on the defender, able to get to the outside, gain a good amount of yards. Looks like it's going to be holding on the offense, so that play is going to unfortunately move back for Michigan there. But nice to see a little bit of juice out of Edwards there.
Yeah, unfortunate to see last year Wolverines, one of the least penalized teams in all of college football. And, you know, that really was a difference maker late in the season, especially into the playoff.
Yeah, the experience on the O-line was something that Michigan had so much of last year. Had a lot of older players on the team, but also a lot of people that have played a lot of games. This new offensive line, a little more inexperienced, but they've looked all right so far, and we're hoping that they can get that run blocking, that pass blocking perfect for the rest of the second half.
They call on Josh Preeb. Warren back in. Shotgun with Mullings this time. Trips on the left side. He'll hold back to throw, going deep, and it's way over the head of Samaj Morgan. Wolverines have looked at that deep ball a few times in this game. Notably, first half it was picked off. That one, it was ahead of everybody.
Yeah, Warren he's been a little more aggressive than I had honestly expected. I'm a fan of the aggressive plays. I think you need to mix in the deep ball. Just hope he can hone in a couple of these a little more, make some big plays. Like you had mentioned before, getting those speedy receivers involved is going to be huge.
Empty backfield this time for Warren. Never mind, Mullen's going to come back down for shotgun. He started out on the right side, kind of confused the defense there. Hands it off to Mullings, going up the middle left. Gain of a few yards, but that was 3rd and 17, and it's not going to be enough.
Yeah, Michigan opting to settle for the field goal. I don't mind the play. Get a good few yards with Mullings. You're sure that he can get you a few. I think he ends up with 6 there, so definitely moves the offense a little closer. It's going to be a 54-yard kick, it seems.
Doman holding. Zavada's kick is up. And good.
Arkansas State transfer looks good there. That ball could have gone probably another 10 yards back and gone in. Great kick there from Dominic Zavada.
Yeah, and a relief to see the Wolverines, you know, knowing that you've got that next guy up going to do his thing. Wolverines take a 10-point lead, 13-3 in the first quarter of the second half. 9:21 remaining. Beautiful night here in Ann Arbor. It is packed. Normally, and I'm not trying to dunk on anybody. Normally by this time, the student section is bleak. But I mean, it is still full to bursting, and it's a good game, but also, don't you want to soak up every minute you have with a team that just won a national championship?
Yeah, that team last year was incredible. Hopefully this year they can have as successful as a season. Probably not as likely. It's hard to go back-to-back in college, but it would be incredible to see.
Anything is possible. Dream big. I don't know. Yeah, they're going to be good. I think a lot of people over-exaggerated. I mean, they lost so many people, but I feel like, especially on defense, they are in form. I mean, we have seen some incredible plays so far. As you hear some cheers in the background, it is for Paul Judah, a Olympian this year with the men's gymnastics. They won bronze, their first medal in over 20 years, I think. It's that or 2008, I'm not quite sure. At the Olympics, that team was kind of one of the, not surprises, but one of the most talked about stories from the Olympics, and in a way that you don't expect from men's gymnastics. Women's, of course, but men's, most people are pretty shocked about. But he also is being honored for the fact that he was a national champion in the floor exercise last season. So pretty good year for Paul Judah. Win a national championship and then go to the Olympics.
Very successful year.
Nothing to brag about. Wolverines very often like to, especially the first games of the season, honor the Big Ten champions from spring seasons, even past winter seasons, and we've already had two so far, I believe. We had women's tennis and women's rowing, both Big Ten champions last season. And it's just kind of, this is a football broadcast, obviously, but it is just kind of insane to think of how dominant Michigan is across so many things, across so many sports.
Michigan athletics, very, very, very successful. Always, but especially this last year, they've had a great year.
That was a 53-yard field goal for Zavada. That scoring drive was 10 plays, 38 yards.
Excited to see this Michigan defense get out here in the second half, set the tone, try and get the ball back for the offense and get some more yards coming our way.
Tommy Doman will kick off for the Wolverines. Doman, the senior from West Bloomfield, Michigan. And that will roll into the end zone.
Fresno looking for a more successful second half. They looked all right at points. The offense had some drives get moving, especially through the air. Passing game looked fairly decent at points. Keene is at 72 yards passing in the first half. The one interception, great play by the Michigan defense there. They're going to hope to get a couple more yards through the air and maybe get some more through the ground as well.
Keene didn't even get a chance to think about it. He was wrapped up quick there by Grayshawn Benny for the Wolverines. I mean, he got that ball, he looked left, and it was over.
Yeah, great pressure there from the defense. He had zero time to even look. Saw a stat earlier today. Keene was top 5 in the nation last season in getting the ball out very quickly. It was under 2.5 seconds per drop back. So very good to get some pressure, get him down in the sack.
Yeah, like we mentioned, it's this defense looking as good as new as Keene finds a wide open man over the middle. Gets to about the 35-yard line. That's Magdalena for Fresno State.
Found a gap between the two safeties there. You had Page and looks to be Quentin Johnson at the safeties there. And, yeah, found him right between the two of them.
See some big losses on safety as well as the injury of Rod Moore for the Wolverines. But, it's the next guy up offense, and they're getting game tested right now as Keene hands it off to Malik Sherrod, who runs right into traffic for a gain of about nothing.
That experienced D-line right there. Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, as well as Josiah Stewart and Derek Moore. That defensive line is very big, very scary. one of the best in the nation last season, looks to be just as good this season.
Yeah, this is not the story for the Wolverines. Everyone knows this is a good defense. It's going to continue to be good. All the intrigue, the drama, the clickbait, if you will, is going to come from offense.
Yes, definitely.
Keene gets the ball. Looking over the middle again finds a wide open man in Jalen Moss.
Jalen Moss looked very good in that first half. He had 4 catches for 57 yards, had the nice play over Will Johnson, and he's done a great job getting open against this strong Michigan secondary.
Have seen a couple issues with the Wolverine secondary so far. Again, allowing those big chunk plays as the ball's handed off again and again right into a mob of people.
Yeah, the offensive line tries to get a push. Not really a hole to run into, but yeah, the Michigan defensive line just swallowing up blockers as always.
They have done an excellent job tonight in the run game. I mean, it feels like nothing is getting through there. Passing game, I think they've done pretty good, but watch out for those plays like we just mentioned. Moss and Delana have found themselves wide open, kind of getting in the middle of the scheme. Back off to Sherrod, and again, right up the middle, find himself right at the point of the M.
Yeah, going to bring up 2nd and 8 here, or 3rd and 8 here, sorry. Yeah, Sherrod, he's been trying to get some gaps. There's not been a whole lot for him. This Fresno State offense has just 19 rushing yards so far.
Something the Wolverines feel confident in their ability to prevent long breakaway runs, whereas they're stacking the box this time. A lot of guys up there. Page drops back. Delana gets the ball. Looks inside for Sherrod, but there's nothing happening there.
Josiah Stewart makes a phenomenal play, dropping back in coverage, able to get down to Sherrod on the screen and make a big tackle for a loss to bring up 4th down.
Yeah, Wolverines were ready for the run on that one. They sent guys up to the line and tried to trick them by throwing it underneath, and Josiah Stewart was having none of that. Fresno State will be forced to punt. 5.5 remaining in the 3rd quarter. I feel like I haven't mentioned this. Their punter, Clay Lawrence, has never played college football in his life. This is his first college football game. As we continue the trend of there being a lot of Australian punters.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked pretty good today. That one goes down inside the 9-yard line. Great punt. Definitely is interesting to see a freshman come in, especially a foreign freshman, not used to American football rules, and just come in and do a great job.
Perhaps the most famous Australian college football punter, Tory Taylor. I'm sorry, I have to get my one reference in every broadcast. Iowa, new Australian punter. They're never going to have an American punter again, I'm assuming. But it's interesting to see Fresno State getting in on it. And I just think it's funny that it was in the game notes that they were like, this guy's never played a game of football in his life. Not just hasn't seen college action. It's like, this is it. This is the first time. And we all get to experience it. We're all here. Think about that little moment. We're all here for this guy's first ever football game.
Michigan going to bring the offense back out at the 9-yard line after this TV timeout. It's going to be interesting to see how they choose to attack. Are they going to stick with the run? Most likely. But that last drive, they threw the ball a lot more than they had. So they might start throwing the ball even more, get the ball to Colson Loveland yet again, let him get yards after catch, find Samaj Morgan, Tyler Morris, maybe in the seams or deeper, maybe even a couple short routes, let them try to use their speed, make a couple guys miss.
Wolverines, again, leading in this game, but a lot of people expected some kind of domination. And a lot of people probably concerned because, unlike maybe past seasons where the Wolverines have gotten flack about having a weaker schedule, they have Texas next week. And, I think at this point it looks like their defense might stack up well, but offense, something that people might be worrying about. I think it might be a bit too early to judge. We're seeing a very kind of in flux offense so far. They're trying things out. They're rolling, Warren's starting, but they're rolling Orgy out for run packages and even trying to get him involved a bit in the passing game. It's not a team that's really feels like it's cemented itself. And I mean, they did not have an official depth chart released even today. So this is a team that's very much, kind of not set in stone. And they're using this game to figure it out. But unlike past seasons, they have this game. I mean, next week you can't be kind of, unsure of yourself in the way that it might feel like the Wolverines have been tonight.
Yeah, they need to start to establish their identity these first couple games of the season. That's what the non-conference is for. I know they had talked about it in the first half. Last season had a lighter out-of-conference schedule, let them warm up for the national champion season. But Texas next week is going to be a real test, and that's where we're really going to see how ready is this offense to compete at the Big Ten level.
Wolverines come back out on offense. Warren got the fullback in, but he'll just go ahead to block for Edwards as Edwards runs head first into a brick wall of Bulldogs.
Going to gain maybe 1 yard there. The offensive line, there's a lot of there's some younger guys. There's not a whole lot of experience on there. You have the left tackle, Miles Hinton. He played some action last year. Actually played in 13 games. Didn't start a whole lot, but definitely got his fair share of action in. We're going to hope that these new starters come in and they have a great third quarter here.
Alex Orgy, and he's going to keep the ball for himself up the right side of the field. He'll make it all the way to the 20-yard line for a Wolverines first down, and there's a flag way after the play is over.
Great run there from Alex Orgy. Gets to the outside, gets around the edge, gets the first down. That hit is going to come from number 32 on the defense, Dean Clark.
And we've mentioned a lot about the quarterback battle, but a kind of understated thing is the offensive line battle. I mean, there's a lot of guys that, if you're looking at depth charts online or predictions or fall camp reviews, it never seems set in stone. I mean, there were guys all over the place starting, no clear starter, and that's something that's going to hurt when they had such a solid offensive line last year. Warren in the shotgun with Edwards. Hands the ball off to Edwards. He'll run up the middle, find a hole for a pickup of about 8.
Yeah, he created that all by himself, just running through defenders, gaining 6 or 7 on that one. And, the new offensive line, the new look offensive line, I know you just talked about all offseason and not being certain who was going to start. I think that's a testament to Sherrone Moore and how he looks at his team. And he came in and he said, every spot is open, and I'm going to put the best guy out there.
Warren back in shotgun. Bredesen coming across. He'll block, hand it off to Edwards. Picks up the first down. Really attacking that left side.
Yeah, that was a great carry from Edwards there. You see a little bit of patience. Reminds you of Le'Veon Bell with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He did a great job of waiting for blockers and letting the play develop before running. Edwards does the same there, follows behind the back of Bredesen there for the first down.
Shotgun again. Warren looking to throw this time. On the outside, through the hands of Kendrick Bell. Throw was a bit low, had to dive for it, and just couldn't hold on. Pass incomplete. 2nd and 10.
Fresno State defense, they're looking fairly stout so far, but I will say Michigan has done a great job just going chunk yards, getting as many yards as they can, taking a lot of clock off here as we're nearing the end of the third quarter.
Just a few seconds past 3 minutes left. As Orgy's in, he'll fake the handoff, and he's got space up the left-hand side. He'll jump over a couple Fresno State Bulldogs and pick up the first down. He had everybody fooled, including me, for about half a second.
Great run there from Alex Orgy. He's done a great job. In this third quarter, this drive alone has 2 carries for first downs. This is what Michigan fans have been hoping for. This is what you've been hoping to see from Orgy. This is what you've seen in the past and you were expecting more of.
We mentioned that putting Orji in on only run plays could have some downsides, but I mean that one was pretty good, and they really sold that there as Warren's back in. Dropping back to throw. Airing it downfield, looking for Morris, and it's just past his reach up the right-hand side. Warren jumped, tried to extend a hand out, but it was still just a bit too far.
Cam Lockridge in coverage there. He does a good job sticking with Morris, getting the hand in his face, and making a really tough grab.
Second and 10, as there is a Fresno State Bulldog down on the field. We'll take a quick timeout to make sure he's doing okay. And I mean, that's, another overthrown pass, and I love to see the Wolverines air it out. I feel like, it's something that even with such a run-heavy game, people have wanted this team to do more. I mean, even in their championship-winning season. But I mean, it's getting. I mean, they've been too far. We're in the one instance, and like the pretty, that interception, that was big, and that ball kind of hung out in the air for a little bit.
Yeah, the deep ball is really important to any offense in the current state of football. You need to be able to throw the ball deep. You need to keep the defense guessing. Michigan was so successful last year in running the ball, then going play action, deep pass from J.J. McCarthy. So we're going to hope that this season we can see the deep ball develop as the season progresses, get those play actions more involved. Not a whole lot of play action, actually, so far.
No, yeah, you're right. Now that you think about it, we have not seen a lot of play action in this game, and I don't know, this was just a bit of like, it's a weird in-between of like throwing things at the wall and hope they stick versus like keeping to our like very strict playbook that we love to work with, and it's, mixed results. I mean, a lot of people think that this game should be better than 13-3. I mean, I think the story of this is going to overlook the defense, obviously, in favor of what's going on with the offense. So I'll shout out the defense again, even though I feel like I've done that 400,000 times.
Yeah, Michigan defense has been so good so far. It's been great to see.
I've seen it mentioned in the chat a few times. And Fresno State is a good team. Obviously, there's been great talent that has come out of Fresno State. They won their bowl game last season with an interim head coach, and this is absolutely not a team that is a cupcake by any means.
Yeah, they've had a lot of success. Last 3 years, they've won a bowl game. You don't see that a whole lot from Group of 5 teams. It's been kind of cool to see a testy Group of 5 game for former national champion. You don't always see that. A lot of times, you win a national championship, you're like, oh, okay, we can go back to our lower schedule. Beat up on a couple teams, especially when you have such a new team coming in. But I think it's been great to see a bit more of a difficult game. Let the offense actually try to work out some kinks before you move forward in the season.
There will absolutely be no controversies around strength of schedule for this team this season. And though it is concerning when a team that you think, you should beat, they're putting up a fight. And they paid them $1.8 million to come play here. And they're exposing a lot of the Wolverines' weaknesses right now.
Play about to resume after the injury and TV timeout there.
2nd and 10. Warren in shotgun. Drops back to pass. He's running towards the right side, throws the ball while on the move, and it'll sail into the Michigan sideline around the 35.
Faces pressure there from Malachi Langley. He does a good job containing Warren on the rollout, and I know people don't like throwaways, but that was a very smart throwaway by Warren. Not a lot there, and you'd rather throw away than taking a sack.
And again, 3rd and 10, going again with Warren. Wonder if we'll see more of Orji in that that fourth quarter. Shotgun formation. The receiver's on the right-hand side, drops back to pass again, looking far to the left side, incomplete for Morgan. That dropped just ahead of him at his feet. He had his guy beat, but the ball just was not there.
Yeah, a lot of pressure there from Phoenix Jackson. Warren tried to make the play off the back foot, but he didn't have anything on there. He could not see anything. Honestly, happy to get that ball off. Phoenix Jackson was right in his face right as the ball was snapped.
The Fresno State defense has really stepped up in this game.
Yeah, provide a lot of pressure to the passing offense of the Wolverines.
As Doman comes in to punt it away. Fair caught around the 14-yard line. That's Jalen Moss, they said, was taking that one. And Fresno State will send Mikey Keene and his squad back out there looking to, maybe find the end zone.
Yeah, Michigan's defense, I mean, we've talked about it a lot today. They've looked incredible. They need to try to hold the middle of the field in the passing game. That was a struggle in that last drive. Middle of the field got open. They were able to get chunk plays, those mid-range passes. But yeah, as long as the linebackers and safeties stick in coverage there, make some plays over the middle, this defense should shut down Fresno State and get the ball back. Fresno State now at 121 yards of total offense to Michigan's 171. Fresno State has the lead in the passing game. Michigan beating the rushing game of Fresno State by 60 total yards.
We've got a nice little media timeout, and I have no Guess the Year to play. So I guess we can look around college football a little bit. Game's currently going on. Alabama beating the brakes out of Western Kentucky 56-0. Mississippi somehow doing even worse to Furman 66-0. These are not fun scores to read. Here, this is a good. Notre Dame, Texas A&M, they're tied at 6 apiece. Just started the second half.
Defensive game, just
and
like this one.
And Iowa scored 40 points. Have you heard about this? Has everyone heard about this? I've mentioned it 10 times today, but I really want everyone to know that.
Yeah.
And that is without their top 2 receivers or coach. Kirk Ferentz was suspended for 1 game by the school for recruiting violations.
Yeah, you're not used to seeing Iowa score very many points. 40 is a good number to get to.
Yes, I know this is a Michigan broadcast. I'll get right back to it in a moment, I promise. But they had a stat today. This was the first time a game has been coached at Iowa by someone not named Hayden Fry or Kirk Ferentz since November of 1978.
Wow.
I mean, this is a whole extended meta argument, but with the amount of turnover you see in college football now, stats like that don't seem real.
No, 2 coaches for the last 45 years. That's a crazy number to think of.
And welcoming new guys to the Big Ten, Oregon 14-6 over Idaho with 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Looks like that's a close one. Good to see somebody else maybe struggling a little bit with big expectations.
Action going to start back up here on the 14-yard line of Fresno State.
Keene in the pistol. Looks like that's Gilliam behind him. He'll now move back up to the shotgun. 2 receivers on the left side. One crossing over to the left. They'll hand it off to Gilliam. He's looking to find a hole through the line. Gets swallowed up.
Yeah.
Gain of 2.
A couple yards there. Michigan defense, I mean, doing what they've been able to stick with for the last few years. Defensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator for Michigan. You have Wink Martindale coming in. His defenses look great.
Yeah, absolutely. The big name. I feel like everybody knows Wink Martindale, and a lot high expectations for a team who, is expected to have a fantastic defense this season.
Yeah, and on that last play, Keene threw to a receiver, was broken up by the secondary. It's going to bring up a 3rd and long here.
Yeah, 3rd and 8. It was Jair Hill who broke up that pass intended for Jalen Moss. Keene with 2 backs. He'll drop back to pass. He's going to get chased, and he's almost gobbled up. He's got to chuck that ball away. That was Jayshawn Barham coming in like a bullet.
Yeah, the Maryland transfer coming in, providing pressure there. Good job by Keene to get that ball away. That one could have been bad.
Yeah, if he had maybe a split more, like 1 split second more, and Barham was going to get, wrap him up in the end zone.
Jayshawn Barham, a high-value transfer from Maryland.
And once again, Mr. Australia, Clay Lawrence, come back in to punt it away. It's going to be fair caught at around the 40 by Samaj Morgan. 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
Michigan offense going to come back on the field. It looks like it will be Davis Warren yet again.
Wonder if we'll see things switch up in the fourth quarter, or if, this kind of, I don't want to say persistent, because that sounds rude, but, the continued trust in Warren, if that's kind of indicative of who they want to go with against Texas. But, we still have 15 minutes. Literally anything could happen in a football game. Warren looking to take the snap. Bredesen comes across, hands it to Mullings, going straight up the middle. Power, he'll jump over a few Bulldogs, land right at around the 45 for a gain of about 8.
Yeah, Mullings got involved a good amount last year. You had your top 2 backs in Corum and Edwards, but it was nice to see a fresh face in Mullings. He did a great job as a short yardage back. And this game has actually looked very good. He's gotten the more carries than Edwards. He's done a good job of getting short gains, but also springing a couple for 8 or 9 yards.
Back in shotgun with Mullings. Warren drops back to pass, looking for sorry, I just could not see the name there at all. That's Morris. Morris on the left side. He gets a gain of about however many yards.
3 or so, enough for a first down.
Enough for a first down. Sorry, I just could not see that play at all. When they're I'll apologize for this because I think I've done it a few times. When they're at about midfield, they are like completely perpendicular with me, and I cannot see their numbers.
Yeah.
So it takes a second to kind of like look over and around to see who caught the ball. That was Morris. Picks up the first down. And that'll bring the third quarter to an end. We got 15 minutes left for something exciting to happen. The way this game has gone, who knows if that's going to be the case. 13-3 is our score.
Back to the short yardage passes. That one's Morris. Morris has had a couple of those short screens, as well as Samaj Morgan. He has just 1 catch so far in this game. Did not gain any on it either. Has 2 incomplete targets his way. Going to be interesting to see if they can get him more involved, as well as get Donovan Edwards more involved. He has that 1 catch for the he has 2 catches, 1 for the touchdown. And just 9 carries for 18 yards.
And something worth mentioning, right now Michigan's rushing stats. Mullings in the lead, 11 attempts, 46 yards. Next is Alex Orji, 3 attempts, 23. And then Donovan Edwards, 9 for only 18.
Yeah, going to need to see a lot more out of him if this Michigan team is going to stay as effective as they were last year. That 2 running back approach worked so well for them, and I'm sure they're hoping that it will stay the same this year. Mullings seeming to be taking more of a, not necessarily running back 1 role, but more of the rundown roles where Edwards came in as more of change of pace like he was last year, but in the game in almost every passing down. Colson Loveland hasn't had a catch for a little bit here. Michigan has seemed to go a little bit away from him. He's hauled in every single target that has gone his way. 7 catches for 69 yards.
I mean, yeah, this past, especially second half of that third quarter, it really felt like some kind of experiment because they stopped giving it to Edwards, stopped throwing it to Loveland, tried to open it up a little bit with the passing game, but then did not go back to Edwards, did not go back to Loveland. Said they just kept trying to find Morgan or Moore, and they weren't there. It was not an effective strategy, and wondering why they didn't maybe try and bring those guys back instead of using it purely as something sort of experimental. As you can probably hear, Mr. Brightside pretty pretty fun in a completely dark stadium. I will not sing for you. I feel like that would be horrible for everybody involved, and so I shall refrain.
You know, it'll be interesting to see, do they bring back some more Alex Orji into this game?
I feel like, I mean, I'm not a play caller. I'm just a girl with a headset. But I feel like, especially in a game that has already felt so experimental for the Wolverines, I mean, they don't even seem content to put the ball in his hand to throw downfield. And I understand he's great with his legs, but he is potentially one of your quarterbacks, and you've let your other guy air it out repeatedly, but won't even get Orji a fighting chance. And just interesting. It does make it seem more like they're leaning towards Warren as their starter for this season. But
I agree. Hopefully, if he does get back into this game, they do give him a chance to throw the ball. It would be nice to see. We haven't seen that a whole lot in his career. That touchdown early in this game was just his second career passing attempt.
Just, yeah, but again, like, you know, put the ball in his hands, let him throw it once, and let him score a touchdown.
See what happens.
See what happens. So we'll start back up. Last quarter, last chance to make the magic happen. 1st and 10. About the 42-yard line. Warren still in. Hands the ball off to Mullings again up the middle. Powering through a couple of different Bulldog defenders.
He just runs so hard. I mean, I see why Sherrone Moore seems to like him as much as he does and gives him the ball as much as he does, because you know that every time he touches the ball, he's going to run, put a shoulder down, and try to get as many yards as possible.
Yeah, I mean, he is just going to run right through you. And, I mean, but that's also, you know, what's sometimes kind of been the MO of Donovan Edwards, who we've kind of just seen disappear from this game. Warren drops back to pass, looking up the middle, up the left-hand side. Finds Mullings. He never gets a good hand on that. It'll roll out. Incomplete pass. Yeah. Never had control.
Looked like he almost had it for a second there, and before he could even get another chance at it, he was hit hard by Fresno State. That hit is going to be from number 9, Malachi Langley. Another big play from him after the sack earlier.
Yeah, we've definitely seen Fresno State step up big on defense. And, you know, this is the first team to face the national champions, and if you ask somebody, I'm not sure they would identify the Wolverines as the national championship winning team, especially with an offense that looks so exciting, as they'll find Samaj Morgan up the middle. That was a good throw by Warren. That was a bullet.
Yeah, great
straight
ball.
Up the middle to Morgan.
That's what we've been looking to see. You know, both sides have actually been very similar in not throwing the ball a whole lot, and when they do, kind of lofting the ball. Great window from Warren, able to find Morgan, throws it hard, gets the first down, and Morgan does a great job getting open, sitting, waiting for the ball to get to him.
So they're going to put Orji back in there. Shotgun formation. Mullings comes out on the right side as Orji takes it up the left. Keep it himself, gain of maybe 2.
Yeah, you know, similar play that we've seen in this game. You know, you have the running back go in motion right before the snap, then you pull 2 or 3 guards as well as a fullback or Max Bredesen, and you know, some of them have worked, but some of these plays have kind of gone for not a whole lot.
And they're keeping Orji in there. Once again in shotgun with Mullings. 2 receivers on the right side. He's rolling out to throw, and that will bounce just in front of the 3 and the 30-yard line. He had his guy wide open there. The throw was
not able to find Morris.
Low. I mean, technically, like, it found Morris. I mean, it was in the right spot. It just, he did not have enough height on it.
Warren is going to come back in for the 3rd and 7 play. And
Wolverines, again, we've kind of felt like they've had moments, and then it just stagnates immediately.
Mulling still in the game here on 3rd down.
When dropping back to pass, looking for Loveland over the middle, and he just can't hold on. There was some good pressure there.
Yeah, great coverage there by the Fresno State defense. Colston Loveland makes an attempt on the ball. It's going to hit him in the leg, it looks like there. Great coverage from number 22, Cameron Braca.
Tuttle inactive, so Orji and Warren, the two options for quarterback here, as Zavada comes in to kick another long field goal. His first was good, and it had more room on it. Second one is up, and it's good.
Good from 55. Dominic Zavada has looked amazing today. This is what you want to see from your transfer kicker. His career long was 56 yards from 2 years ago while he was at Arkansas State. Last season, only missed 6 field goals and 1 point after throughout the entire season.
Yeah, you know, Zavada at this point looking like he wants to be MVP of the game. I'm joking, I mean offense, because obviously it would be on defense. As Wolverines will take a 16-3 lead here with 13 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter.
Yep, defense going to come back out here, show some more of that. Show some more of the strength of the team. You know, they're just out here getting some reps, trying to get ready for the Texas offense. That's a high-flying offense. They throw the ball a lot, but they do a good job of mixing in motions and some different play ideas. And it'll be interesting to see how they adjust on the line and in their coverage and see how they match up with Texas.
You know what I think would revitalize this team? Guess the year. I think they would all be so motivated by that and me playing it on air. Just kidding. You know, it's easy to doom and gloom, especially like when you mentioned like the specter of Texas looms over every missed opportunity in this game. But this doesn't exactly feel like that unlike games we saw last season. Now, caveat, they would normally have figured it out by now. By this point in the game, the offense would have come together. There'd be backups in here. I mean, they'd be up by at least 3 scores. But this feels eerily similar to those really slow starts the Wolverines had last season. Now, again, maybe what made the Wolverines so good was their ability to come back from those slow starts, whereas here it just seems like they've stagnated, as Chris Jenkins is here to throw T-shirts at people in the stands. Always good to see, former Wolverine come back.
Yeah, I mean, just like you were saying last year, they did a great job of adjusting. The offense was able to look at different looks, adjust, make plays when they needed to. And, we're hoping that throughout the season, maybe it'll be a game-by-game adjustment instead of more mid-game adjustments like it was last season. You have a new coaching staff. You bring in a lot of new coaches. You bring in a lot of new players. It's a very different feel to the team. Like, this is not your national championship winning team, but it is still Michigan football. There are a lot of great players on this field. They will figure it out. This team will hopefully look better throughout the season, but I agree. This hasn't looked that far off of the slow starts to last season, the suffocating defense. That's what you need to win football games, and that is still here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so tempting to look at this game and only think about the Texas Longhorns. We can do that tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Right now, the focus can't be on Texas, and that might be what's kind of tripping the Wolverines up, is they're trying so many things because they have to have this brand new identity, this brand new team, and that they feel comfortable with in every starting position next week immediately. They don't have time to build up the schedule.
Very true.
And so if, maybe we're thinking about Texas too much, maybe they're thinking about Texas too much, as the kick will go through the end zone. It'll be touchback as Mikey Keene leads his men back out on the field.
Fresno State going to start with the ball on the 25-yard line here. This offense not looked too bad so far. The rushing attack has been slowed down by the Michigan front, but Mikey Keene had a couple nice plays over the middle, made a few nice throws, honestly.
Keene in the pistol, taking a second. talking to his line, getting really close to talk to his line. Backing up. He'll hand it off to Sherrod, who's gobbled up pretty immediately.
By Jimmy Rolder there. Great job. Backup linebacker coming in, making a great tackle for loss. And, you know, Fresno State's offensive MVP probably has got to be Jalen Moss today. 5 receptions, 69 yards. He's done a good job of getting open over the middle, getting open along the sidelines. They're going to hope to see him a little more late in this game, and they're still in this one.
Trips on the right side, empty backfield for Fresno State. Keene calling for it, dropping back to pass. He's looking up the side again for Jalen Moss, and that's going to be caught, but he is down. He looks uncomfortable after what was an incredible catch.
Great catch there by Jalen Moss.
He is really struggling there. It looks like it might be a leg.
Will Johnson in coverage there. Jalen Moss able to go up against one of the top corners in the nation and make a great grab. He's had a few of those today, just back shoulder, over the shoulder. Mikey Keene and Jalen Moss look to be a good combination for Fresno State this season.
What was it? Literally the last time out, you were mentioning that Moss has been the best player on this Bulldogs squad, and that was another incredible play that he made there. It was a 28-yard pass for Jalen Moss up the right-hand side, puts them just past, just at the Michigan 50.
Looks to be maybe just a calf cramp for Jalen Moss, so he will probably go out for a play or two, but doesn't seem to be out of the game, luckily. Good to see. You never want a player to go down with an injury and get taken out of a game.
Yeah, hopefully just something feels wrong. He's up. He's doing a little skip run to the sideline, giving a cheer, and he'll get applause from everybody here in Michigan Stadium. As even if they're not your team, he's been electric so far in this game, and it's good to see him get up.
Jalen Moss, 6 catches, 97 now. Just done a great job getting open, making really tough catches. I mean, I know on the radio broadcast you can't see the play, but Will Johnson was right there in coverage. He was right diving for the ball, but Jalen Moss is able to reach and just make a great grab. Mikey Keene with a phenomenal throw, getting it over the shoulders of Johnson, putting it where only his receiver can get it.
It's dark in here. They just turned all the lights out. They're doing a little hype video, so that's what this is. Just under 12 minutes remaining in the final quarter of this one, and maybe not exactly the return people were hoping to start the national championship defense.
Like you had said before, I mean, one of the Big Ten favorites this season, Oregon, not looking very good.
Yeah,
still.
we can use this moment to bring that up. Interesting game going on with our brand new Big Ten sibling, the number 3 Oregon Ducks. 13 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. It is 14-7 against the Idaho Vandals. And looks like, it's almost heartwarming to know that we're not the only team struggling today.
Very true. I mean, they have a lot of new faces as well. Brand new starting quarterback in Dylan Gabriel. It'll be interesting to see how they shape up this season. We have a game against them later this year, and should be good.
Gabriel, 35 for 40, 322 yards and a touchdown. So it looks like he's not the problem in this one, whatever is going on. 35 for 40, 322. Yeah, something else is afoot. Who am I? Sherlock Holmes. Why did I just say afoot? I don't know. Moss is up. We're all good. Let's get back to this one. First down for the Bulldogs. About Michigan's 50-yard line. Keenan shotgun. Sherrod. As they'll fake across, and he'll find a wide open man on the left-hand side for a first down. That was Magdalena.
It's a great grab there. Does a great job against the coverage of Amir Hall. Great job rolling out, making a good pass, and Magdalena with a phenomenal catch on the sideline.
And Mikey Keene doing a great job of pinpointing his passes, but he's getting chased down again by Jay Sean. Just manages to get the ball out, and looks like that's going to be a catch. No catch. My bad.
Another good job rolling out by Mikey Keene. You know, he's facing a lot of pressure. Fresno State's done a good job with their play calls, calling some rollouts. They know that the pressure and the strength of Michigan is up front, so getting the quarterback outside of the box, outside of the tackles, makes the defense have to run a little longer to make the play.
There's a
play's going to be under review there on the catch. That possible catch was made by Acevado from Fresno State.
It looks like they're going to,
85.
like you mentioned, be reviewing that. Pass from about 50-yard line. First one, that was really exciting. I mean, both passes, you know, looks like Delena's getting comfortable. If that is going to be a catch, he was being chased down by Jay Sean Barham. He was heat-seeking missile on that one and just managed to get over to the side and, you know, find his guy. And
based on the replay, that one might be a catch. He's got his hands under the ball there. It doesn't look like there's much else, but the ball does not hit the ground. His hands seem to be under it. Obviously, we're not down in the refereeing booth, but his hands are under the ball there.
Yeah, we'll and
based on the sound of the crowd, it seems like it's going to be ruled a catch by the referees there. Fresno State's going to pick up a first down there. That is an incredible catch. Great concentration from the receiver to be able to get his hands under it and get that on the ground.
And they're now the Michigan 19. And this is dangerous territory for the Wolverines. Keene in the shotgun keeps it himself. Misses the first two guys, but the third one will wrap him up.
Actually, looks like that's going to be Joshua Wood out there. Backup quarterback, taking that one, just running with it. They're switching up quarterbacks just like Michigan, it seems.
They're not the only ones trying things out, and yeah. I think they're going to fake the handoff there and manage to trip up the first two defenders, grabbing at his ankles. Nothing going. Keene back in now. Shotgun. Sherrod on the left-hand side. He'll drop back to pass, trying to find number 11, Raylan Sharp, but he gets bodied by Amir Hall.
Great job in coverage there. He waits for the ball to get thrown, is able to hit the receiver and jar the ball loose. Big play from the Michigan defense to bring up third down.
Yeah, this is a big stand for the defense. You know, we have been highlighting all game. It'll be interesting to see. Empty backfield for Delana. He's looking back to the left-hand side. He's got his man open. It's Sharp's going to find the end zone for a Fresno State touchdown. They run the same play again pretty much, and this time it's a success. Sharp makes this a 16-9 game. And oh boy, things just got a little interesting.
They sure did. Raylan Sharp makes a good move there, gets around McBurrows and gets in the end zone. This game 16-10 or 16-9 currently pending the extra point. Fresno State, that offense looked good on that drive. They were moving the ball very well.
I mean, they went back to that same play. It didn't work the first time, but they had confidence in it. They did it again, and Lynch's extra point will be good. It's 16-10. It is one-score game now, and it genuinely could belong to anybody. There's still 10 minutes. That's a lot of football left.
Yeah, Michigan's MO this game all of last season was to use the clock, run the ball. That's probably what they're going to stick with here. And, you know, we're going to hope that it works out. We're going to hope that draining the clock, they can just try to take some time off, get any points. A field goal here puts you in a great position. No points does not.
And what's felt like a, I don't know, aggravating but relatively safe game for the Wolverines, and then there's a wave of unease spreading over Michigan Stadium right now.
Yeah.
There's music playing, but the sound's not there, and it feels like someone, you know, like a balloon just got popped in the stadium, because it felt more comfortable. It felt safer, and now it's one touchdown away from being something crazy.
That play brought a lot of momentum for Fresno State. I mean, even after that drive, Michigan is winning the time possession battle handedly. 29 minutes of possession for Michigan to Fresno State's just 18. Michigan about to get the ball back again, and they're going to take more time off the clock here. Go down, hope to score another touchdown for their second of the game.
It's a 19-yard touchdown for Fresno State, as Mullings is going to take the kick, and he finds a hole of about 25. Once again, that is Mullings taking kickoff there, and it's been Mullings as their running back number 1.
Yeah, not who you expect to see back at the kick return. All of last season, it felt like it was between, you know, Morgan, Morris. You had some Jake Thaw, who's no longer with the team, but you would have thought you were going to see Morgan and Morris take the bulk of returning snaps, but Mullings there, back returner, making a good play.
And it looks like Warren's back in. They're in shotgun. It looks like it's finally bringing Donovan Edwards back in. They'll hand the ball off to him. He runs right up the middle for gain of about 2. It's good to see him back in the game, as it felt like there was, you know, a good 10-minute period where it was all Mullings.
Definitely. He did not get a lot of carries in that third quarter at all. Picks up another 2. Been pretty indicative of his game, you know, just a few yards at a time, not able to get much of a rhythm going.
Bit of confusion there. Still with Warren back in the shotgun with Edwards. Like Loveland's going to be blocking there as Warren Edwards does find a hole up the middle. They had Loveland on the edge there. And that's a gain about 6, 7?
Gain of 6. Get it to 3rd and 1. Great run from Edwards finding the hole. Good block from Loveland, like you had said.
Have to shout out the block. I'm so firmly that tight end needs to be just as good, if not better, at blocking as receiving. So that's a moment for me. That was a great block by Loveland, and saw Edwards take immediate advantage of it. Orgy in there. He'll keep the ball himself, and he's got wide open space to get the first down. It looked scarier there for a second. Thought he might take it even further, but a couple Bulldogs got in there, brought him down, but it wouldn't be enough to prevent the first down.
Picks up a big first down there on 3rd and 1. You know, it has been very interesting to see how they've been using Orgy. Great job from him to be able to make the right play, hold on to that ball, not hand it off. Only had 2 people there, but it would have been a tough play to get more out of that one.
Warren back in. Shotgun to Mullings. He's got some wide open space. He'll take it up the field. 1 guy can't bring him down. 2 can't. It took 3 guys to bring down Mullings on that one. He gets it all the way up to Fresno's 40. And way to breathe the life back into this stadium.
It's a 20-yard run there from Mullings. Orgy and Mullings back-to-back big running plays. Like you had just said, bringing the life back, putting the momentum back on Michigan's side. Mullings has looked phenomenal today.
Shotgun formation, trips on the outside. Everyone's going to look back. That was kind of funny. It was all in sync. Loveland moving back inside. He'll take over the blocking role, hand it off to Mullins. He's got space up the left-hand side. He makes a man miss. He's still up. And once again, it takes 2 guys tackling at the shins to bring that man down.
There's another 15 for Khalil Mullins. He is up to 86-plus yards here. He has done a great job on this drive in this game. He has looked phenomenal. It has been weird to see him as more of the lead back with you having Donovan Edwards returning for his senior season. But, I mean, Mullins has looked really, really, really good.
I want to shout out Loveland again there. He was outside initially as a receiver, came back in on the left-hand side of that line to block. I mean, that's the side Mullins went up.
And makes the hook block there to get Mullins outside.
Back up to Mullins, right up the middle that time. And, God, he's a bad man. It takes 3 guys to bring him down at least every time. Something that may have looked like there was not going to be anything there, and he gets it for a gain of about 6.
He's nearing 100 yards total here. I know this has probably been talked about a lot. I'm sure last season it was brought up all the time. Mullins, the former defensive player. I mean, you see position changes all the time in football, but someone going from the defensive side of the ball and being a big, big running back and getting this many carries, he's done so well as more of the bell cow back here.
Moore's crossing to the right side. Handoff back to Mullins. Faking the pass, Mullins. They tricked me. They got Loveland. He's going to find the end zone. Fake that pass to Mullins, and that left Colston Loveland wide open up the middle. And he bullies his way into the end zone for a Michigan touchdown. And, oh, man, that drive feels like the Wolverines we remember.
That was the drive that you were looking for. This is what you wanted to see. You know, I don't know that it had been talked about a whole lot beforehand, but there's been a little bit of things in the air of a possible 2-quarterback system, and you kind of saw that there. You know, Orji coming in on that 3rd down to run. I know we've talked about it a lot today, but you need to get him throwing the ball a little more. But that 3rd down play to get the 1st down, Mullins looks incredible as the lead back there, and good play-action play. Warren finds Loveland. Loveland makes a phenomenal play after the catch to get into the end zone.
The kick is good from Zavada for the extra point. 23-10 Michigan. And that play, Loveland scored the touchdown, and it was him and Mullins that whole way. I mean, Loveland was an insane blocker on Mullins' 2 biggest runs there. And then Mullins sold that fake so well. I mean, it got me, you can tell. And Loveland was wide open, and everyone, both of them, just such tough guys. It takes so many men to bring them down. And in Loveland's case, they weren't quick enough to get 5 guys over there, and ends up with a Michigan touchdown.
Yeah, you talk about the Colston Loveland as an NFL prospect. He's so great with the ball in his hands, receiving, run after catch. But the blocking there is really what helped that drive out so much. Mullins ran well, but Loveland did a great job blocking. And we've been harping a lot on how well Loveland is blocking. The O-line did a great job there as well. Mullins was able to get yards just off of wide open holes.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what happens, especially, I mean, it was just a really fantastic drive offensively because, I mean, there was Mullins was just so unstoppable that opens it up. All of a sudden, they're, trying to stack the box, trying to prevent Mullins from breaking them wide open again. And it leaves Loveland susceptible, and by the time they recovered, I mean, it wasn't enough. They got there almost in time, and Colston Loveland was going to drag them kicking and screaming into the end zone. Again, not to be my tight end bias is physically impossible to hide, but, he really, was the star of the show that no one expected last year. And it just seems like he keeps getting better and better and better, and this game has been no exception on both as a receiver and as a blocker.
Yeah, Loveland is going to go high in the NFL draft next April, should he declare. Michigan going to get their defense back on the field. That last drive, Fresno State had kind of settled in. They looked a lot better than they had before. They looked very successful.
They looked comfortable.
Very comfortable. Able to get a couple short plays from Mikey Keene, getting some big plays. Jalen Moss playing so well there. Magdalena with the big catch as well. And then you have Raylan Sharp getting into the end zone. Malik Sherrod still struggling on the day as well. Similar to Donovan Edwards, he has 13 carries for 22 yards. You know, you have Fresno State last season didn't really have a full identity on offense. They ran the ball, they threw the ball a pretty even amount. But this season, it seems to be throwing the ball is their thing, at least against this Michigan defense, which has a phenomenal rush defense on their end.
5:43. Sorry for leaving you hanging there. They played Hot to Go. I had to do the dance. Any Chapel Rowan listeners out there, respect. Yeah, I mean, if you compare, like, I am so dramatic, and I'm probably prone to that, but just how we were talking about literally just the drive beforehand and about, like, the life had gone out of the stadium, and oh, man, is it back. And that's one drive of the best football we have seen this offense play in this game, and it just feels alive again.
Yeah, I mean, football is so predicated on the energy of the fans and energy of the players on the field, and you have the momentum shift back to Fresno State beforehand, but Michigan did a great job able to take all that momentum back. They took that defensive drive, the long drive from Fresno State, able to get in the end zone. They took that and channeled that into the offense and were able to run the ball like Michigan is supposed to and get into that end zone.
Domino kick it off through the end zone, touchback for the Fresno State Bulldogs. And while it kind of seems like, I don't want to get ahead of myself because like we just hammered home, anything can happen. Well, it seems like Michigan put the baby to bed. It's 17-14 for the Oregon Ducks and the Idaho Vandals. Idaho just scored a touchdown. And, yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, and I just saw on the TV that we have in the press box here, Notre Dame picked up a score as well, 13-6 against Texas A&M.
10 minutes left in that Oregon game. But we're not at Oregon game. We're at a Michigan game. We're going to talk about Michigan. Mikey Keene gets the ball. Looking over the middle for Moss, and it's picked off. For the Wolverines, that was Quentin Johnson.
What a play from Quentin Johnson there.
Looking for Moss again as Keene's #1 target bounced off the hands, and Quentin Johnson said, I'll take that one.
Great job off the hands there. I mean, those are the plays that the Michigan defense made last season. There was so many plays where it felt like, oh, bounces off a receiver into the hands of the Michigan defense. That defense was suffocating. They caused turnovers. That's what you need to see from a Michigan defense if they're going to keep moving.
He'll head over to the sideline, pick up the turnover buffs, and oh man, he looks good, and he feels good. This is 23-10. Michigan gets the ball back. And UCLA is tied with Hawaii, which I think is fun. With 1 quarter left, approximately. 13-13, in case you care. But don't go away yet because we still got 5.5 minutes here. They're showing a replay. I don't think anything's up for review. So just maybe want to bask in the excellence a little bit. And nope, there is an official review. Never mind. Can't have fun here, apparently. Oh, no, that's I'm sorry for just making a Muppet noise on this broadcast, but looks like I might be coming back. Oh, they're putting the glasses away. So sad.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he was able to get it. Ball did hit the ground, but you know what? It's okay. That, as much as we would have loved to see a turnover there, show that the Michigan defense is showing that they can make plays. Yep, no interception is going to be the official call from the referee. But Michigan is going to come back out here on defense, hopefully bring back that same level of intensity and stop this Fresno State pass offense, as that is what they're going to be in. 5 minutes left. They have to throw the ball for the remainder of this game.
Back to Fresno State. Keene drops back to pass, and there's some confusion going up. He's looking right into the hands of McCarthy Page, and there's no doubt about that one. He'll take it all the way back to the 21.
There's a flag in the backfield. It's probably seems like it's going to be on the defense or on the offense there. Sorry. So the play should stand. We are going to see what the call is. McCarthy Page phenomenal play. Another one off the hands of a receiver into the Michigan defense.
And that was Nathan Acevedo, who, there was some confusion. They were all up in Keene's face on that one. There were guys waving their arms around. And that one was a no-doubter. But like you mentioned, flag on the field. And let's hope and pray, if you're into that, that it's not going to be on the Wolverines. If you're not into it, just maybe click your heels like in Wizard of Oz, but wish for interception.
Officials seem to be talking it over here. We're going to see what the call is in a moment. Does look to be a second flag on the field, actually.
And that's going to be, is that going to be for that? TJ Guy got in late, kind of pushed Keene a little bit.
Now
I'm not exactly sure what else it could have been on.
The second flag on the field, I feel like at the end of the play, I may have seen a bit of a face mask on Page. We're going to see what the call is.
Roughing the passer is the call on that for a little late hit on by TJ Guy on Keene. It looks like I need to stop saying things are no doubters, because doubting.
It's going to be 2 penalties on the Michigan defense there. Not what you want to see.
It's an automatic first down. As there was a face mask you mentioned on Page after, so I need to stop getting my hopes up. It's bad for my blood pressure to be getting this excited. I'm 21 years old. Sorry, I feel old lately. To keep getting this excited about turnovers that aren't happening. And instead of McCarthy Page taking it back to the 21, we're going to move all the way up.
Back-to-back turnovers called back from the Michigan defense.
Oh, man, they're
Fans
still going.
are not happy here. That is going to be 30 yards gained on that play for an interception by Michigan. That's not what you want to see. That is a drive killer on the defense. That is bring down your that will bring down your energy a lot here.
And once again, they're back in shotgun. Maybe third time's the charm. They're going to throw it again. And
there's going to be a flag. Going to blow the play dead here. It's going to be before the snap, it looked like. It's going to be a false start on Fresno State.
I was about to mention, it looks bad, but if there's any place that could boo loud enough to trip a team up, it's the Big House. And that is what just happened. We got 5 minutes left. Are we going to play Guess of the Year? Sorry, that's not important. Empty backfield for Keene. He gets it out quick to Sherrod on the left-hand side, short, still behind the yard scrimmage. He spins his way ahead and gets pushed by mostly Michigan guys and maybe one Bulldog up to the 40.
It's a strong reception, run after catch from Sherrod. And this Michigan Stadium is getting loud right now. And it's not as positive of a loud as you would hope. It's getting a little more, the refs not the biggest. Don't have a lot of fans at Michigan right now.
Another penalty flag coming in on that one.
Yeah, there's going to be a catch from Fresno State. They're going to almost get a first down with the flag after. Looks like it's on the Michigan defense.
Mentioned again that this is one of the least penalized teams in the nation, and I don't know, this past 5 minutes or so feels like they're the most.
Yeah, TJ Guy again there.
Again, that's another guy that they've expected big things from. They wanted him to step up and kind of, seize the moment, and not exactly what you want to see. And once again, we're going to move up on a play that feels like Michigan's shooting themselves in the foot a little bit.
Another 15 yards here. Fresno's going to get the ball on the 20-yard line here. The Michigan defense, they've looked good, but just a couple plays, like you just said, shooting themselves in the foot. They just need to bring back the momentum. They need to bring back the energy and make a couple plays here.
I mean, this is, instead of an interception, it's inside the 20 because of 2 unnecessary calls. Once again, in shotgun. Keene drops back to throw. He'll find number 17, Cameron Beecham, on the outside at around the 12. 10-yard line. Never mind.
Wesley Walker and Jimmy Rolder seem to be in coverage there. Found the gap on the sideline. Great job from Beecham.
It's picked off! This time it's picked off. There's no doubt about it. McCarthy. Page wants the...
Will Johnson.
Will Johnson, my bad. Will Johnson wants those buffs on somebody's face.
Interception there for a touchdown from Will Johnson. Great job. Jumps the route.
Oh,
Screen
he was
pass.
all over that one. Will Johnson read that play beautifully.
Screen
And this
pass
time,
to Jalen Moss.
this time I think I might be able to say, as he takes it all the way back for a pick six, there's nothing quite like it. Oh my God, are we reviewing it again?
There's a flag on the field.
There's a flag on the field. I've had I've had 3 interception calls that I've been like, these are good, and none of them matter.
Flag looks to be on Fresno State there.
There's Boo, and Will Johnson's putting on the turnover buffs. They've busted that case out like 3 times now, but this time somebody gets to wear them for real. It's Will Johnson.
He's showing himself as a top corner in the entire country there. What a great job, like you said, reading the play, being able to get in there, get the interception, and just outrunning everyone to get to the end zone.
That penalty will not change the fact that that was a pick six. That was just unsportsmanlike conduct on Will Johnson. And you know what? You take the ball, you pick it off on a play, you read that perfectly. Take it all the way down the field for a touchdown. You can be a little unsportsmanlike.
Flag is going to be
allow
assessed on the point after here. Going to be kicking from the 17-yard line.
Long extra point for Zavada with no issue. It's now the game that felt hopeless about 7 minutes ago.
Big
Feeling
leg
pretty
from
good.
Zavada. Kick that one over the net into the crowd back there.
That's 30-10 Michigan over Fresno State, which feels like a dream score at the start of this quarter.
Yeah, they've done a great job. The offense has looked better. The defense, you know, on that drive, 3 big mental mistakes. Well, 2 big mental mistakes. 1 interception got called back because of a review, but the defense has looked great. We've seen the traits. They just need to show it every time now. Will Johnson looks incredible. D-line looks incredible. They just need to put it all together on every play, and they will be a dominant force yet again.
I mean, there's had 3 different guys, quote unquote, pick it off. And just the way to come back again, not, let the fact that you should have had it there and that you keep pushing them down the field upset them. I mean, that would have been really easy for a lesser team to crumble, to fall apart, to immediately give up a big chunk play or even a touchdown. And the Wolverines don't do that. Instead, they keep intercepting the ball until one finally counts, and it's the return
Very true, very
by
true.
Will Johnson.
Great job by the defense to be able to keep that energy up and continue to make plays.
Doman kicks it through the end zone. That was an 86-yard pick six for Will Johnson.
You see Fresno State's offense back out there yet again. Mikey Keene going to need to keep throwing the ball. 4 minutes left, now down 3 scores. Michigan, this defense, I mean, I know we've been talking about it for the last 5 minutes now, 10 minutes even since they've been on the field, but they're looking good, and they're going to continue to make plays, and they're going to make Fresno State's job real hard. Keene's going to take the snap.
Keene back in shotgun, looking over the middle, finds a guy wide open.
It's going
That's
to
number
be Beecham.
17, Cameron Beecham.
2nd and 1 here on the 39-yard line.
Empty backfield, he'll take it again, looking right up the middle. It's going to be caught by no, that's number 4 actually.
Going to be Chaden James for the first down, catching it over Jair Hill in coverage.
And Fresno State picking up the pace here, down 20 with 3 minutes remaining. Back in shotgun. Trips on the right-hand side. That bounces off the helmet of a Michigan defensive lineman and bumbles to about the 40-yard line. Incomplete pass. 2nd and 10.
Pass deflection. Fresno State still moving fast, even though the clock stops. They're getting right up to the line yet again.
We still have 3 minutes left in this football game. I felt like I've lived 4 lives.
That one was off the hands of Kenneth Grant.
Keene back, finds a guy wide open over the middle of the field. That's going to be Delana for a first down. And I mean, they're pushing the ball downfield. They've really, sped this game up, and they're kind of isolating those issues that we have identified with the Michigan secondary. Is the way that their formation sets up. They sometimes just leave pockets open in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I mean, you have the outside linebackers, but they're throwing it right
Oh,
over
and
the
somebody's
heads.
coming up behind Keene, and he goes down. Josiah Stewart wanted all of that.
Big play there, big loss of yards. It's going to be a 12-yard sack by Josiah Stewart.
Stewart drops Keene all the way back to the 35-yard line. 38-yard line.
14-yard sacks, brings up 2nd and 24.
You could see him coming. Keene was running out towards the right side, and he didn't see Josiah Stewart coming up on him. And oh boy.
2-minute warning now. Going to be another timeout for the media. And, Fresno State, they looked all right there. They had a couple chunk plays, that play over the middle to Delana. You had 4 guys hit him right after he caught it, but great job from Mikey Keene to be able to make these plays over the middle consistently. And, yeah, you just talked about it. That does seem to be a little bit of a weakness in the Michigan defense so far. Mikey Keene has just done a great job finding people over the middle, right over the top of the linebackers, under the safeties. It's where you want to be. That's where you want to find receivers. And they've done a good job getting up and down the field. But the Michigan D-line showing their experience. Great pressure from Josiah Stewart there, making a phenomenal play.
We talked a lot about the secondary there, but this is, once again, all-around defense. They can hit you hard from anywhere. Josiah Stewart has had one heck of a game. I mean, he is definitely a player that you could identify as an MVP.
Yeah, he has looked great today on defense. He has 2 sacks so far, a 3rd TFL as well. He's done a great job getting in the quarterback's face, making plays, bringing down Mikey Keene. I mean, him and Derek Moore both played a lot last season in relief roles more than anything. But Josiah Stewart just done a great job coming into this season. He had 8.5 tackles for loss last season, 5.5 sacks. He's already well on his way there to matching those numbers.
Yeah, he's definitely stepping up, senior from the Bronx, making himself known here. We play every time we touch. Michigan staple, plays the hockey too. 40 seconds left in this media timeout, 2 minutes left in this game. And the vibe from the beginning of this 4th quarter to how we feel now could not be more different. And this, again, like we talked about, Michigan really picked themselves up. And I don't want to say it, I don't want to make any grand declarations here, but Michigan picked themselves up. Took a little longer, and it, had a few more unforced errors, but this is very similar to the games we saw last season.
Yeah, I mean, the offense hasn't been on the field in a little bit here, but last time we saw them, they finally were able to get a real drive going, get a touchdown off of the start of a drive. I mean, the only touchdown they had before that was getting the ball inside the 30-yard line of Fresno State. So putting together a real drive, getting a touchdown, that's a great sign for the rest of the season.
And breathing just a little bit easier. Texas is still haunting like a ghost, especially in our chat right now. But I feel a bit more confident than you did even 15 minutes ago. Delana drops back, looking for Keene drops back, looking for Delana on the left-hand side. He'll get right about to the 45-yard line.
Going to try to make this a slightly more manageable third down. It's still going to be 3rd and 18 or so. I mean, it's nice to gain a couple yards there, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot when you're so far back.
And this still feels daunting. You wonder if Keene's going to try and air it out again. He had some success finding Moss over the middle of the field, but also that's where Michigan has kind of preyed upon their weaknesses. Shotgun going to hand it off to Sherrod instead and kind of choke and sputter out at about the 45. That is not 18 yards. That's 1. It's 4th and 17, a minute and 5 to go.
That play is going to bring us inside 1 minute left in the game here. It's a 20-point game. Offense now going to come off the field. Looked like they might have stayed on, but
looks like they're just going to waste as much time as physically possible. This one is, they've all but put the baby to bed. Going to bring out Australia's punter, Clay Lawrence, for the last offensive play for Fresno State, unless a miracle happens. And that's going to pretty much just land and stop around the 18-yard line. 19 seconds left.
Another punt inside the 20. I mean, hey, for a guy that's never played football before, he's a good punter out here.
Australians, this is your time. The age of man has ended. Sorry, Lord of the Rings reference. I just rewatched them. I'm not comparing Australians to orcs. That was not the point of that. Never mind. Ignore everything I just said. Michigan, 19 seconds left. I think we all know what's going to happen here.
Victory formation.
Warren comes in, takes in the victory formation for the Wolverines. Let the clock trickle out. And despite some scary moments in this one, Wolverines start their national championship defense 1-0 with a 30-10 win against Fresno State. As there's the official end of this game. And what a exhilarating fourth quarter we've had. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than an exciting fourth quarter. What did the Wolverines not start doing well, but what did they really get to click to really put that fourth quarter together?
I think it was that run game. I mean, we saw it a little bit towards the end of the first half, but being able to go into that fourth quarter and just rely on Khalil Mullings to make a bunch of plays there. They were able to bring in the play action on that final play, get Colson Loveland into the end zone for the first time today, for the first time in the season, hopefully the first of many for him. Yeah, I think that run game was important to get going, and it was very good to see the offense start to click a lot more than they had beforehand.
Absolutely. Looked rough at times. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. Texas in a week, that's the noon game, and everybody in the country is looking at that one. That's going to be the real test of this team and how they look after losing so many pieces, including their head coach. But great win, great fourth quarter. Who is your MVP in this game, if you have one? You can pick offense and defense. You can just pick defense. You can do whatever.
I mean, offensively for U of M, I think it has to be Colson Loveland. Khalil Mullings did really well, but Colson Loveland had a phenomenal game through the air and on the ground. I mean, yes, he didn't run, but blocking-wise, he sprung so many of those plays through amazing blocks, did a great job stealing the edge, making some plays down the middle, and, caught a couple passes through the air. Was Davis Warren's, main target today. Got that touchdown late, did a great job, sure hands. You can count on Colson Loveland.
I have gotten flack for talking about tight ends too much on here, but I could not agree more. And it'll be interesting to see what the game plan looks like next week. We'll have it here on WCBN Sports. We've got a great call. You'll hear from Alex Miller again. Speaking of Alex Miller, him and Vihan Iswar were on for the first half. They did a great job. Long one, stressful one, but exciting one nonetheless. Gavin Briggs, thank you so much for joining me. I've been Kendall Spencer, and from everyone here at WCBN Sports, I'd like to say thank you, good night, and go blue.